Does give it the good. Really do the happy dance all day long. 404-6100 for random 86-pound references coming up as well.
Morning on the live stream.
Perfect Stranger. I got that one down for Flip and Buddy. For the next segment, maybe we'll talk about sports as well.
For better or worse, it's the early game with Tim and Bill on 107.5 The Game.
Looks like somebody could use this intro this morning. Little wind beneath the wings. Bill, you all right over there?
It's we'll see how the morning picks up. It was a little bit of a rougher night last night, but we'll see how the morning picks up as we go along. If you two want to play
like you're talking about Gamecock baseball to some degree. Rough night last night to start against the Citadel, and then I think there was a little extra motivation. Maybe certainly Carolina comes through in the late innings, big 8th inning, and ends up going 11-0. Gets the win on the road and kind of burst things open there in the 8th inning with a bunch of 2-out hits, and we'll let you hear how that sounded. But an interesting game in Charleston. You see the Citadel pitcher there showing some emotion leaving the mound. Have you seen that video?
What was that, the 7th? Yeah, he gets Simon Graff, I believe was his name. Very, very fired up. Very like a roller back to the pitcher that you get out of the inning. I thought it was going to be a strikeout. When I saw the video, I thought he was going to strike him out and pop off. But it was a roller back to the mound, and he was very excited to field it cleanly and get the out, and then I'll let South Carolina know about it. And that always goes well.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there a most iconic example of that in sports?
Great question. Oh.
Just the worst time to taunt?
I feel like the worst, you got the worst celebration, and was it Martin Gramatica? I don't think it was Bill, his brother, right? The jump
tear
off.
the ACL.
Yeah, and tear the ACL. That's not quite the same, but that pops in my head talking about that. It's like just having the wrong tone or the completely wrong outcome to your emotional outburst.
Patrick's the proud team owner of a celebration gone wildly wrong. Can you figure out which one it is? It's a quarterback.
Washington team. No.
It's a quarterback. I'll just go ahead.
Kirk Cousins?
No.
What Cousins? Famous Kirk Cousins coming in from the locker room?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I got nothing off the top of my head with
the Gus Farrat headbutt into the
yeah.
That's a good one
before my
concussion. Yeah.
Gus Farrat reference to start this morning. That puts a smile on Bill's face. I love it.
Yeah.
Chris starts on the Facebook Lives. Says you guys know you can watch Perfect Strangers on Hulu. Went back and watched the first episode. Good for you, Chris. I did not know that. It's good information to pass along this morning. Speaking of the live video stream, we're up and rolling. Facebook Live, YouTube Live, on the station handle on Twitter at 1075 The Game, where you can find us, in the live video stream sponsored by Buford Lending. Patrick holding things down in the Herndon Chevrolet Studios in downtown Columbia. Thanks for being a part of the program on Thursday morning, where I thought we might be talking about some quiet bats and some, just, hey, good, baseball is baseball. You never know how it's going to go. Blake Cooper, the former Gamecock All-American, the pitching coach for the Citadel, had it dialed up for the Gamecocks for most of last night, and then Carolina coming through with a huge 8th inning and going on to get the win against the Citadel. Was an interesting game in a lot of ways, and the 8th inning outburst helping Carolina win that thing 11-7 and stay undefeated headed to Texas. Bill, I feel like you got to have games like this in a 56-game college baseball season, but the thing with the Gamecocks this year that we're seeing, I think that we haven't necessarily seen in the Mark Kingston era. Maybe we saw it more in year number 1 where they ended up a game away from the College World Series, but where this team hasn't played its best, certainly 100% of the time, and yet they've figured out a way to get a win in every single game so far.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and that goes back to, I think, what I brought up yesterday. Somebody was asking me about, hey, is this team good or is the competition bad? Well, baseball is an odd sport, and the competition hasn't been great, but to be 11-0 and to find ways to win, whether it's 1-0 over Mercer or a walk-off win over Clemson, or scoring 6 runs? 6 runs in the 8th last night. That's right, 6 in the 8th. 6 in the 8th to knock off Citadel. They find ways to do it, and that is the sign of a good team, and that's the sign of a program that we became accustomed to under Ray Tanner in the early 2010s. So we'll see if they can maintain it. Again, there's a lot of baseball to be played for the season, and a lot of really, really good competition. I think that's the only thing I hesitate is that your margin for error is so slim when you look at playing in the SEC, that and baseball seems to be such a momentum sport. We're seeing that with Clemson baseball right now. Something goes a little haywire, you start on a slide, it can be hard to break.
No doubt. And you saw the Gamecocks get it going there in the 8th, and it was impossible for the Citadel to stop it. 6 runs was the difference, and the Gamecocks now 11-0 for the first time since 2014. Joe Satterfield, another big game. He started that rally in the 8th with a 1-out double. Brady Allen on base 4 times last night with 3 walks and a single to add to the scoring in that pivotal 8th inning there. Josiah Seitler got the start on the mound and was solid at the plate as well, hitting cleanup. That's strong. When you start on the mound for the Gamecocks, you hit cleanup in the lineup, and Seitler not disappointing there. And now the Gamecocks hop on a plane this morning, head over to Austin. They'll practice there a little later today and get a 3-game series going against the Texas Longhorns, who they have not played since the national championship game back in 2002. And we've talked about it multiple times, just how this is a tremendous series for fans, maybe not for coaches, but for players and fans. I think to see these two uniforms, these 2 storied teams getting after it this time of year adds to what has already been a really interesting start to college baseball for the Gamecocks. Wouldn't you say, Bill?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Putting these 2 baseball uniforms on the field together in a 3-game series is something that a lot of people have been excited about. This was a series that was supposed to take place. What, Tim? When did Founders Park open? This was supposed to be the series that South Carolina was going to open Founders Park with. They wanted Texas to come in.
2010, somewhere right in there.
Yeah, somewhere in there. So this was supposed to be that series, and everybody got excited about it. For whatever reason, they couldn't pull it off. And it's 2 of the most storied baseball programs all time, and you've got them going against each other. So it is a lot of fun. I think the unfortunate thing is I think all 3 games are on the Longhorn Network, which I don't know if anybody's got the ability to access over here, but maybe we'll find a way to be able to watch it a little bit and be able just to view it with our own eyes.
Will be an interesting weekend for Gamecock baseball tonight. Gamecock basketball, SEC tournament, late game. Ole Miss, the number 6 seed, the Gamecocks, the 11th seed. Going to have to figure out a way to sneak in a nap is my plan before tonight's big late tip. 9:30 is going to be the earliest you get that game. And interesting comments from the Charleston Post and Courier's Gene Sapkoff talking to Jay Phillips yesterday right here on 107.5 The Game, going with 55% no, I think, when talking about the future of Frank Martin coming back with Gamecock basketball. It has been speculated and will continue to be until we hear some sort of resolution moving forward, with just a couple of years left on the contract now, and a disappointing 6-14 season, 4-12 in conference play for sure. What kind of effort are you expecting out of Carolina tonight, Bill? You know, the way this program has been through the years, I think it would be just another chapter for those of us that haven't been able to figure out Gamecock basketball to watch this team just play well, hit its stride like we've seen it play well at times this season and win a couple of 20-point games in conference play. We haven't seen it consistently, so to see it for 4 days, and we haven't seen in the Frank Martin era the Gamecocks get to the semifinals there in the SEC. Impossible, I know, to predict with accuracy, but what kind of feel do you have around this team? I'm guessing it's not necessarily a positive one after that Kentucky performance.
Yeah, I think unfortunately this is not a time I expect them to or think that they're capable of jumping up and surprising us. I just think this team's done. I think mentally, physically, everything. I think everybody from the top down, they're done. And it'll be, hopefully it'll, for lack of a better term, I hope it's humane tonight is all we can say. Like you hope it goes out without incident or without embarrassment. I just don't foresee this team right now having to fight to get through 40 minutes and win a basketball game. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they find a way to come together in Nashville, but it's not what I expect tonight.
I don't think a lot of people expected the baseball team to struggle as much as it did last night against the Citadel team that's off to I'd say an average start to this season. And the Gamecocks were just wildly out-hit for a lot of the game last night until that big 6-run 8th inning, and as well as the entire feel of the game, or a little slow start offensively especially. You have Wes Clark going into this thing as one of the hottest hitters in the country, but has cooled down a little bit. He went 0 for 5 last night with 3 strikeouts. That leads Chris to ask us, what's happened to Wes Clark out here lately? Have the pitchers figured him out? I wouldn't say that. I would say certainly that teams are being very, very careful with him, and clearly that's one of the things about getting off to about as hot a start as you could ever get off to, is that unfortunately there's only one way to go. Wes Clark coming back to earth a little bit here. I would have some confidence that he'll bounce back pretty strongly, but I'd say mildly concerning rolling into the Texas series. What about you, Bill?
Well, no, I mean, it's baseball, and like you said, people have taken notice of Wes Clark. He does need other bats around him, kind of like last night, to continue to step up, so it takes the pressure off him, and he continues to see good pitches, and they can't be selective in how they pitch to him. But I wouldn't get too fired up or read too much into it. I know that's not how people like to operate, but we'll just play it by ear. Maybe he comes out and has a huge weekend this weekend.
Billy says, I'd like to say good morning, fellas. Congrats to the baseball team for pulling through there and getting that win last night. So I had to see they're still undefeated. And let's go Gamecocks. We have to see they're still undefeated. Thank you. That's from Billy. Thanks, Billy. Todd hits us up and says, you can't talk about taunting gone wrong. Simon Graff was the pitcher that's coming off to his first base dugout and completely turning around and giving a little bit of the business to the South Carolina dugout as he heads off the field in the 7th, and Citadel's in control of the ball game, and then it goes the other way for those Bulldogs real quick. It says you can't talk about taunting gone wrong without bringing up Spike Lee versus Reggie Miller. That's a pretty good one. That one doesn't live in my head, but as soon as you say it, I see the image, and it's a great, I think, example of taunting gone wrong.
Perfect. When Reggie Miller does the choke to him, yeah, that's the perfect answer. That actually might be the answer.
Well, it's also perfect just from the visual standpoint, because Spike Lee's such a little dude, and he's a fan, right? But he's not just a fan. He's a fan that some people know, but the Mars Blackman background and the whole thing, and then what Reggie Miller did, specifically the one game what they're down 8 with 12 seconds to go or something ridiculous. I'll look it up. But to hit a couple of threes and to stick it right in Spike Lee's face, that's about as good as an example that I could come up with as well. Bill, you're on board with where Todd's going?
Yeah, I think that's our leader in the clubhouse here at 6:18 this morning.
Travis, I'll say it. It's y'all's fault with the nickname thing on Wes Clark. Went from Superman to John Jones Part 2. We are 11 games in, Travis. 11 games in. As long as he's saying it with a smile on his face. I see.
Blame Colin Taylor.
Yeah.
You're blaming Colin Taylor with Gamecock Central?
It was Colin Taylor's idea.
He started the conversation, or got us going with the conversation a little bit more with the social media mention.
Believe me, hey, everyone that has that same energy as Travis, I tried. From the first second, I tried to stomp out the nickname. I've been anti-nickname. Second one.
Yeah. He doesn't like people infringing upon Big Carrot.
No, I don't like nicknames.
Coming in hot. I love it. How can a guy with the Big Carrot moniker not like the nicknames? Just you like how it happened naturally? Is that what
Well,
you said?
I've never called myself that.
Well,
Never.
That'd be really weird if you just woke up, you went to the mirror in the bathroom, like, all right, here, we're gonna have a date. Come on.
he does that. He just doesn't admit it.
The conversation with a girlfriend. Yeah, this is a little awkward, but I'm gonna have you refer to me as Big Carrot from now.
Never. Not going down that path.
803-404-6100 is the number. Would love to hear from you this morning. Good thing we got the Love Chevy phone lines up and rolling. We can see our favorite 86-year-old caller up early with us. We'll get to him when we come back. Continue to talk Gamecock baseball, staying on a perfect start and doing it in a little dramatic fashion like last night down in Charleston on their way out to Austin this morning to get going against Texas. Gamecock basketball tipping it off tonight. We'll see what piques our interest from the national standpoint as well. It's the early game. It's 107.5 the game.
Clear. All right, AAA.
Yesterday was beautiful. Today is going to be beautiful. Before long, though, it's going to be scorching hot again. And your heating and air system better be working. That's right. You better have that air conditioner up and running for the summer when we get into the dog days of Columbia summer. And with AAA heating and air, I can guarantee you if you've got an issue, they will make sure you are taken care of. Give them a phone call today, 803-677-1500. My good friends, trust me, heating and air, something that I find extremely important in life. And I need somebody who's reliable. I need somebody who treats me like family, somebody who I can trust, who's going to tell me what exactly is wrong with my unit. And if that needs to be fixed, they can fix it, and they can fix it immediately. And right now, not only will they fix it, they'll actually pay you $1,500 to buy back your old unit, plus give you 0% financing with no money down for a new unit. How about that? You can't beat that. This is a family company. They've been around for years. They care about their customers. They want to make sure you're happy first. That's not common in today's business practices. You need to find out for yourself, because heating and air is important. Trust me, if your air conditioner's out there in the middle of the summer, mama ain't happy. And if mama ain't happy, you ain't happy. You make sure the family's happy, and you do that by using family. AAA Heating and Air. Give them a phone call today, 803-677-1500. Again, right now, they will pay you $1,500 to buy back your old unit, plus give you 0% financing with no money down. They've come out and taken care of me here at my house. I promise you, they will do the same for you. They'll treat you like family. Give AAA Heating and Air a call, 803-677-1500, and tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
You gonna make it?
Well, we will see. We'll see how it picks up here as the morning goes on.
Feel free to call it if you need to, man.
Yeah, that's...
It's a good problem to have, Chris. Good problem to have, being undefeated. I would say that when you're South Carolina baseball, whether you're undefeated or not, you're going to get nearly every team's best, especially smaller schools in the state like the Citadel. That's all part of the deal. But you know that you're holding the championship trophies. You know how it goes. Patrick, how about we come back with the baseball montage? Thank you. It's like he is being extra professional today. All right, let's check it out. What do you guys think? I haven't looked yet. Oh, I just saw the score. Vandy or Texas A&M last night. Big SEC tournament game. Look and see who that meant they played. Means they play Florida. Game 2 today. Now, why wouldn't you set it up to where the team that had a play-in game the night before gets to play the next night instead of the second game? That seems odd. Well, a little ahead. Mute Bill.
I was a little worried that great moments in NCAA tournament history thing was up in the computer, and it was red, so it put it to playing. So,
right, yeah, I think it might be red just because it records in the morning, so it might not read. That.
Might not have been ready. Okay.
Well, yeah, when it loads, it probably reads that it's not there.
That makes sense.
So it's coming through loud and clear. We're good there?
Yep.
Beautiful. So that's going to go through the NCAA tournament. FYI. April 6th, I think.
Clemson Pro Day today.
Oh, yeah? But minus Trevor Lawrence?
He'll be there, I'm sure, but he's not going to throw. I don't think.
He's already had his surgery, hasn't he? Wasn't that the whole point of him doing it before?
Yeah. He said he felt great. I don't know. It's his non-throwing shoulder. I assume that he absolutely would not push it. That wouldn't make any sense.
9-0. Yep. Knock off Big Brother. You got it there, Chris. Is that a Washington, D.C. thing Chris is throwing up there? D.C. 4L? Patrick's uninterested.
I don't know. Dallas Cowboys? I don't know. Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys for life? Oh, man.
Lame. That's also a good example from Ryan. The guys that drop the ball on the goal line.
Right.
I need to find one particular video. Let's see if I can do it. What was it, a 6-0 run in the 8th inning?
6 runs in the 8th inning last night, you say?
Yeah.
Yep. I don't think we call them runs in baseball so much.
What do you call it?
Inning?
You just say a 6th-run inning?
6-run inning.
6-run inning. All right, we'll come back.
Be a heck of a run with runs, with 6 runs.
I mean, then it's still a game of runs, kind of.
It certainly is. You got the montage here, the baseball montage to start?
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, Bill's getting some food in him.
Pitch all the way. Breaking ball. Line drive down the left field line. It's in there for a base hit. Noah Myers is going to scamper home for the go-ahead run for the Gamecocks. It is a stand-up double for Braylon Wimmer, make him 1 for 5. The score of 7-6 with clutch hits from Brady Allen and Braylon Wimmer. There's a line drive in the right field for a base hit. That's going to score at least 1. It's going to score 2. Josiah with 2 runs batted in the Gamecocks lead this game 9-6. Another blue darter hit by a Carolina hitter. Pitch on the way. Breaking ball. There's a high drive to right field. If it's going to carry, going back to the wall and making a. He drops the ball up against the wall. Carolina's got a run in. Carolina's got another run in. Heister goes the other way. Finally, Brad Muller, for the first time in several games, hit it up against the wall. The right fielder McCarthy got a glove on it, but when he hit that green padded ball up there, it popped out, and the Gamecocks have two more across the plate. Yes, they poked the bear.
They did poke the bear. Now 11-6 Gamecocks.
11-7 the final score. Brad Muller and excited Tommy Moody is the best Tommy Moody, isn't it? On the call last night for the Learfield IMG College broadcast. You heard it right here on 107.5 The Game. 2 out hits, 6 runs in the 8th inning. The Gamecocks were getting out hit in a big way. It was something like 11-4 or 3 or something, I think, at that point with 2 outs. And Braylon Wimmers up at the plate. He had a rough night. I believe 1 out of 4 or 5, 3 straight strikeouts. And Mark Kingston said he told him, hey, you changed the whole night. One good at bat. And that's exactly what happened. And then it corresponded to change the whole game. They end up intentionally walking Wes Clark after that, even though the Gamecock slugger, the 2-time National Player of the Week in the first 2 weeks of the season, ended up 0 for 5 last night. Did get on base with that intentional walk, and then Josiah Seitler made it hurt with the hit that you heard there that brought in 2. It was 2 of his 4 RBI on the night. Seitler again coming through when he's on the mound. He started the game on the mound and hitting 4-hole as the DH there, and comes through for the second straight midweek game. It was against Winthrop last week, where I think he ended up with 3 hits or 3 RBIs, maybe scored 3 runs. Not sure exactly what that one was, but that was a massive outburst from the Gamecocks offense with 19 runs. This one, it took a while, but Carolina ended up with 11 runs, the 11-7 win. And now 11-0 on the season after getting challenged and pushed and then taunted in the 7th inning by the Citadel pitcher Simon Graff as he's going off. That video going all around the internet, heading to the first base dugout and making sure that the third base dugout over on the Carolina side of things knew all about the Citadel being in control of the game. And it didn't work out.
Was there something that led to that? Like, was there jawing back and forth, or was that a random act of
competitive fire?
Well, Bill, you understand the dynamic between the Citadel and South Carolina, right? I mean, this is a game that the Citadel looks forward to. I think every single year, a series. They play several games, and this is not just a typical midweek game, especially when I think the Citadel came in with about a 500 record, maybe a game or 2 under. So they have a chance. Yeah, they're now 4-7 on the year. You know how emotional some guys get.
No,
pitchers are a little different.
I'm not. This
Nothing
isn't
particular.
This isn't about being emotional or showing emotion. This is about where your emotion gets directed. All 3 of us have played sports. Like, I get it. I get it if you want to come off. I've seen guys who make the play, and as they're going to their dugout, they're fired up and they're jawing, but to physically direct your emotion back to the other dugout.
I mean, yeah.
It happens.
It happens. Dude, every time Shi Smith caught a ball, the other defensive back knew about it. It's not like he just high-fived his teammate and said, good throw.
But that's my point. Like, Shi Smith was a little bit of a talker. Like, something going on prior to this. Like, that's my point. Shi Smith.
I think it could just be competitiveness, though. Just generally, like, you're playing against them and you want them to know. We've gotten a couple good examples of people talking about, like, taunting gone wrong. I just tweeted at you guys my favorite one ever. Tell me if you've seen that clip. This never ceases to stop making me laugh. It's a DB for the BC the BC Lions walking up to the line of scrimmage, like waving the wide receiver, like said, "Come get some," and the ball gets snapped and he just gets thrown 10 yards off the screen.
Just watched it again. It is amazing. At _ Patrick Ferret, where you can see it. I'm going to retweet it now at Tim Hill 107.5. And I've seen this thing before, and yet still watching it.
So funny.
It's the extended clap before the play, and then it's like, "Come on, big guy!" Right? He gives him that move as a DB, and then it is 2 seconds later, just pancaked, completely pancaked. And is this from the Canadian Football League?
Yeah, it's Edmonton Eskimos versus the British Columbia Lions.
Oh, it has to be from the Canadian League because you can get going forward, right?
Right.
The line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
That's
you
the
can take a
whole
running
thing
start.
with the wide receiver. Oh, it's
But they're
fantastic.
great. There are a lot of great videos of like UFC knockouts where a guy starts taunting and the next
Sure.
thing you know he's flattened and unconscious. So if you have good examples of that, tweet me back at that because those always make me laugh so much.
Let's
There's
get those
YouTube.
going.
You can type in like instant karma videos on YouTube and you'll find a lot of that.
Ryan hit us up. Cool Care Heating and Air text line 803-404-6100. He says taunting gone wrong. That time the refs taunted the Gamecocks in the Outback Bowl against Michigan with no first down when clearly it was with hashtag the hit. And then he adds, but in all seriousness, every receiver, running back, returner with a path to the end zone, and they dropped the ball right before they crossed the goal line there, showing off. And the shot on the sidelines after is always the same. The player watching the Jumbotron with hands on his head, mouth agape. Well done getting a gape in pre-6:30 this morning with the 6:27 text, Ryan. Well played, sir. Timbo hits us up talking about Carolina baseball. Says this South Carolina baseball team seems to have a loose feel and good chemistry. That's always a good thing. They won't win every game this year, but they have resiliency. They have a tough time hitting junk ball pitchers. This may be their Achilles heel. They tattooed the fastball pitcher last night in the 8th. The South Carolina going to miss not having a Michael Roth type pitcher that mixes things up. I would say they do have a Michael Roth type pitch. I think Brett Carey is a Michael Roth type that he's not going to blow you away with a fastball, but he is going to he's going to figure out a way to get you out. Now, I mean, anytime you throw Michael Roth in there, a guy that kind of rewrote the record book for Carolina and was just a legend, started against Clemson in College World Series and the whole thing. It's hard for me to put that in proper context, I would say. But if you're going to have any kind of Achilles heel at this point, that's what you want it to be as you're headed into Texas and then the SEC, because we have never seen college baseball at the level it's at this year. The way things went down last year with the season canceled and the draft shrunk from 30 rounds to 7 or whatever it was, there are a lot more players this year in college baseball with a bunch of talent than there's ever been. And that means there are a lot more power arms, I think, than there ever have been, especially in the SEC. So I wouldn't be too concerned at this point from the Carolina baseball standpoint, sorry. Looks like Travis is trying to explain what exactly went down. Is he just retweeting he's retweeting a tweet from Citadel Baseball, or maybe just a video there? I'm thinking. Yeah, Bill, I don't think it was anything specific, but I do think it wasn't the first time that had happened in the game. I think maybe a previous Citadel pitcher had done it as well. I feel like it's one of those things. If your teammate does it and it feels like it carries over and has a positive effect on your team, maybe you think you should do it as well. And then obviously it didn't work out great for the Citadel.
No, it didn't work out well for him. But I still like where did his again as a 5'6" trash talker who really had no business talking trash from the bench. Where was his? I'm still confused why he decided to direct it back toward the Carolina dugout. It's if he'd have like stormed off the mound. You've seen guys like storm off the mound and like they're fired up for themselves and whatever. But when you start directing it back toward the other dugout, that's where I think he took the big mistake. Like Reggie Miller was minding his own business. Spike Lee brought the game to him.
Well, somebody's got to bring it to somebody.
All right.
Somebody's got to
Otherwise,
start
it's
it.
not
In baseball, there's no direct contact. So I mean, you have it between pitchers and batters when they think maybe you're like throwing it a little too close to me, but. I mean, some guys just bring that. They just want to talk trash, and you have to talk trash to somebody.
I mean, it's kind of like a good bat flip. Is a good bat flip necessarily taunting the other team if you don't throw the bat at them?
I don't think it's taunting at all, but I'm also not a baseball player. This is the same thing as like Steph Curry hits a corner three, turns around and stares at the bench while he runs back, stares at the other bench while he runs back to play defense.
Okay. All right.
Except Steph Curry is one of the best basketball players on the planet. I think that's the difference there. just getting a link in here, and I'd never seen this for some reason, or if I did, I had forgotten all about it. Man, it is pretty brutal. Drew Lock, the former Missouri quarterback, I guess Missouri played Texas in the Texas Bowl a while back, and Drew Lock throws a touchdown relatively late against Texas and throws out some horns. Does it like this? So this was back in 2017. Celebrating the touchdown, he throws out some horns with both hands, and then a couple minutes later, Texas intercepts Drew Lock, and then they just get all over that mockery of the celebration there, and Tom Herman especially weighing in on it on the sidelines. To me, that's when it's crossing the line as well. Like, if you're a head football coach, you don't get into that mess. To me, that's not being a head coach, right? Maybe you're an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Defensive coordinators are famous for this, right? They're the big emotional guy on the sideline. Let them go nuts. You got to play defense with emotion. If you're a head coach, come on, man. You're mocking the other team's quarterback after what he did. I get it that you might be okay with your players doing that, but I think that's what
that's what we were talking about controversial coaches the other day. I mean, that's something I'm trying to think of a pro coach. Like Pete Carroll would definitely do that. He would definitely get involved in that. Yeah, if the whole team was doing it. Sean Payton, I could see doing it too.
See, I think Pete Carroll is more the positive energy guy, the clap, the cheerleader kind of guy, as opposed to I'm going to rub this in your face because you disrespected me kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like
maybe is it different doing it on the sideline, like dancing with your players, versus facing the other bench and just doing it in their face?
Yes.
Like the head coach, but you're always going to be on camera if you're the head coach. So
also would be different doing it back in your locker room after the game, right? Then maybe it's relatively appropriate. It's for your guys only.
That's something for Pete Carroll. That's something I could see in the locker room. Yeah, I could see.
That's a different deal. But Tom Herman doing it on the sidelines with his players there. Appreciate that video. You got some more videos for us, some examples. Would love to get them all out there. That was Tim and Chapin hooking us up with that one on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line at 803-404-6100. Speaking of that number, we got to talk to Gamecock Larry this morning. Our favorite 86-year-old caller up early with us, and they're patient on the Love Chevy phone lines.
Nope.
Larry, how you feeling this morning? No, he's left us. Are you telling me, Patrick?
Yep.
Oh, that's my fault. I'm gonna take the L on that one for not getting.
He did the same thing yesterday, and then he'll call back in a little bit.
Now he's really fired up.
I think if we don't get him on in the first segment, he has to take his medicine, and then he'll call back soon. We'll get him in the 7 o'clock hour. That's what he said yesterday, at least.
As Bill eats something, I think they might be on the same schedule now.
Well, yeah, I had a little issue during the last break, but I think if I eat something, I've noticed I started eating crackers because everybody loves a good, these Toll House crackers at 6:40 in the morning. But I think if I eat those, I've noticed I've rallied here in the last segment.
Attaboy.
By eating some crackers after a rough off-air segment there during the last break.
It's an eat and rally Thursday morning here on the early game.
I'm trying to get there, buddy, because I tell you what, about an hour ago when I woke up, I thought the golf tournament, we're 50-50 on that golf tournament, but we're working, Tim. The sun's coming up over Lake Murray. We got college basketball. Sawgrass starts today. The TPC. I'm watching live from Sawgrass this morning. It's going to be a good weekend. The weather, the time is changing. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm working to rally.
On the radio show. Let's do it.
Yep. All right.
Clear. All right, Loaf.
Oh, yeah, it is going to be a fun weekend. You got St. Patrick's Day festivals taking place kind of across town. Maybe you want to get out of town. Maybe you want to take a little vacation. You better make sure you have a reliable vehicle to do that. And in order to have a reliable vehicle, go visit Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. Other dealerships right now struggling to find inventory, not at Love Chevrolet, though. 14 acres of brand new Chevys to choose from. You will find the car or truck you have been looking for. And in case you haven't heard us talking about it the first few months of the year, they've also recently moved over Love Automotive's pre-owned lot from Knox Abbott and Casey over to Love Chevrolet. So if you're looking for new or pre-owned, Love Chevrolet is your one-stop shop. Whether it's an incredible sales staff, the $1,000 low price guarantee, or, of course, the incredible selection, 14 acres of brand new Chevys, Love Chevrolet is your one place you can go in this town to make sure you're going to find the car or truck you've been looking for as soon as you drive onto the lot. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads. We're struggling, but crackers.
Great old man text we're going to read in this next segment. Love it.
It was a great one.
Joey from Sumter. Great one.
I upgraded my TV yesterday.
Oh,
Congratulations.
It's the biggest TV I've ever had.
Look at that smile.
It's amazing. It's amazing. 65 inches in my bedroom.
Wow.
Like, it's so close to my bed. It's just enormous. Everything's a million times better on a massive TV.
Wait a second. You went from having $28 for like 2 weeks at the end of last month to now upgrading the TV?
I sent I got my I got my tax return, but my tax return also came with my stimulus from last year because they screwed up and didn't send me my stimulus.
There you go.
you need to get yourself some dependents. Get yourself some dependents so you can get that new stimulus, get a little extra money.
Yeah, it's a great money-making scheme.
Yeah.
Get on that.
Wait, I get the new stimulus, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you probably just don't have any dependents.
Sounds like you might have already spent some of that money.
No, they just passed one that's gonna be $1,400, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you get 1,400.
I know they changed the income limit or whatever, but I'm not sniffing anything close to that. But yeah, and I spun my desk around now. I rearranged my room so my desk face the opposite way, so now I can, while we do the show, I can have the 65-incher on to watch watch game tape while we do the show whenever Jen gets back.
Of course.
Nice. Jason says, stay strong, Bill. Craig says, come on, Bill. And Waddy, that $1,400 came early. Nope, he's good. His last one came late, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never got it.
Attaboy, Patrick.
I'm going to take some cough medicine. I'll be right back.
Like Bill's the bionic man this morning.
These headphones are the worst. The last headphones, I guess, crapped out.
Oh, yeah?
These are like noise canceling. I can't hear anything going on in the background without these.
Not what you're looking for. Travis, he's feeling a little nostalgic listening to you, Patrick. Bachelor life. Enjoy it, man.
Why are women anti-big TVs?
Yes.
Why? Why does everyone not want a big TV?
It's biological, Patrick. We all know that.
They're also anti-multiple TVs because I was catching heat for that. Everyone was like, why don't you get rid of the second TV? I was like, because now I can have a second thing on. What are you talking about? How is this not making sense? She's like, you don't need that, though. I was like, I don't need it, but I want it. She's like, why? It's like, because now I can watch a movie and have a game on the little TV right next to it. What's hard to understand?
Oh, man.
Gamecock is back, it looks like.
Big Carrots relationship corner. Love it.
All right.
You ready to roll?
Yep. All right, you're up.
Gamecock Larry is really getting to be a pro. So he called us earlier. We didn't get to him quick enough. Totally my fault. I take all the blame for that. 803-404-6100, by the way, if you would like to weigh in on the Love Chevy phone lines. And then he just called us back right before the break.
He knows. I think he got disconnected. He says he didn't hang up. So.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I'm going to give him a bit of the doubt.
I'll take the blame this time.
Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Gamecock Larry, how are you feeling this morning? I'm guessing it's pretty good after another Gamecock win last night.
Boy, I feel a whole lot better than I did yesterday morning. I had to go out to that doggone emergency room and spent about 4 or 5 hours yesterday, but the staff took good care of me, got me. I don't know what to give me. Give me some kind of liquids in that arm and stuff, and I'll take the blood, give me another bottle of pills to take home with me to go with the other 25 I got. Jeff took real good care of me and all the staff. I really appreciate him. But last night I almost gave the old man, I was worried a little bit, but I wasn't worried all the way. I mean, I knew we was going to pull it out, but you know how you are sometimes. But I'm going to tell you right now, you can mark it in your book. I said I wasn't going to talk Gamecock men's basketball. The Gamecock men's basketball is going to go and they're going to win at least 2 games in the SEC championship. But I would really wish they would just go ahead and get it over with tonight and let it go. Well, it's been a long, hard, tough season. And all you people keep hollering about, we're going to do this, Martin's going to take this job, Martin's going to leave. Martin's going to be the Gamecock coach next year, and he's going to be their coach in years to come. Now, let's see, what are we going? Are we going to Texas? And we're going to take at least 2 out of 3. And old Gamecock Larry's going to be feeling really, really good Monday morning when I call you guys. That's about all I got to say. Go Gamecock Nation, go. Let's go out and, well, I don't know what I want to say. I just give up. But I will say we're going to go. We're going to come back at least 13-1. Go Gamecock.
At least Gamecock Larry. Great hearing from you, Gamecock Larry. Glad they got you fixed up there. Didn't hear Dr. Bulldog getting any of the credit there, but sounds like Jeff got most of the credit for yesterday. And if you guys missed I didn't hear Gamecock Larry describing us or giving any grief for our physical appearance today, watching the live video stream like he's watched in the past. But if you guys missed that, you missed the largest smile we'll ever see from Patrick Perrette during the break talking about a new purchase. You want to tell the rest of the people what happened, Patrick?
Yeah, I upgraded the TV in my bedroom. I got a 65-incher now. It is big time. And it really makes me just want to buy another 65-incher for downstairs. It's huge. It is massive.
Just the twinkle in his eye, Bill. Just waiting to get him to say it again to see if he can he didn't just reproduce that. I think he doubled down on the eye twinkle.
I've been wanting it for so long because I had like a computer monitor as my TV in my bedroom. It's been terrible.
Wow. And then that, of course, led you, unfortunately, to say, oh, what? It was a male-female thing. Apparently, you got some complaints from the girlfriend about it, the whole deal, and people have been weighing in on that. Jonathan says, right there with you, Patrick. I play video games on one, watch TV on the other one. Yeah. And KT says, most married women don't want you to watch sports or anything else you like. KT, how do you know about most married women? I'm guessing you might know about 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but you can't know about most married women. Christy says not all women are anti-big TVs or multiple TVs. More games to watch.
Exactly. And she doesn't like sports. My girlfriend doesn't like sports, so now we can watch whatever she wants, and I can just have my sports on the side.
Everybody wins. Everybody wins.
Oh boy,
we're trying to lead that kind of example here for you, where everybody wins. We'll see if we can do it in hour number 2. We'll probably just end up yelling at each other. It's the early game here on 107.5.
Clear.
Where did 53-0 come from? You guys got Craig's comment?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Steven, I don't think you want those. Oh, 53-0, I think Craig was saying. At least 53-0 next year. Maybe he was saying, maybe Craig thinks there's 53 games in a baseball season instead of 56. Maybe he thinks they'll play 53 football games.
Maybe they'll just get a couple games canceled this year.
Rainouts happen. They do happen.
So then that's the deal. It's only on Longhorn Network this weekend?
Correct. Yeah, last night's game was on ESPN Plus, and I almost pulled the trigger and paid the $60 for the year. Didn't do it. Held strong. Listened to it instead.
So no one's going to be able to watch this game, basically.
I think you can get Longhorn Network, right? You just have to add it to your package. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just like any other add-on, but it's like $12.99 or something.
Right. Yep. I'm definitely not adding it on just to get it this weekend. This is to me where ESPN is gutsy. We all know how much money Disney has, and you're going to nickel and dime us for a couple of college baseball games? Come on, ESPN.
Well, I think they just don't expect anybody to watch it now. Everybody's doing it, though. I've been really frustrated that I'm not able to watch all the lacrosse games on Saturdays because of ACC Network and Big Ten Network Plus. It's been really upsetting me.
Nice, Chris. That's good to hear. Says his wife told him we needed a new TV, so went out and got a 65-inch LG. Play.
There you go.
We can all go over to Steven's house and watch Carolina and Texas baseball, it looks like.
So is it one of those things that ESPN Plus?
So, so last night was on ESPN Plus, but this one's on Longhorn Network. I don't think that is part of ESPN Plus.
No, it's not. But I didn't know if they were going to do it on multiple.
But that's the thing, yeah. If you think you have it, like Waddy thinks he's got it, it sounds like, or the extra. I was hopeful that somebody had just done like a typo in the game notes, and it was going to be ESPN3 instead of ESPN Plus, and it would be on my little ESPN app last night. It wasn't.
So is Longhorn Network included in cable packages in Texas then?
I think like the SEC network around here, right?
Right.
Not that
I don't know why ACC Network's not part of mine.
Yeah, that's weird. It's part of my little YouTube TV deal.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you using when you say it's not part of yours?
Are we getting two-person?
Just the one my parents Xfinity account.
Yeah.
I pay for ESPN Plus and Disney Plus and the Disney Plus and Hulu bundle, but on the ESPN app I just type in their email and it gives me SEC. They have SEC Network in Maryland, but not the ACC Network for some reason.
All right, because the Terps jetted, man.
Yeah, but I guess UVA and VT are pretty close, but I guess it's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's interesting though.
I thought the whole East Coast was kind of ACC territory.
No, I don't have the flu. I had ear infection and sinus infection. Now I'm just battling the after effects. I have no energy, and I went yesterday to the doctor because I was having some chest issues.
Yeah, don't come out to the golf tournament tomorrow, man.
We'll talk later today. I'll talk to you later today.
Not allowed. Banning you.
You can still do the show from home.
Right. Do the show from home, go to sleep. Or just stay asleep. Got a bunch of people joining us, especially in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Who we got?
Make it. The integrated media guys will be out there. Camp Cole will be out there. Fred from Windermere will be out there, obviously. And then we're starting a new golf show on the AM. And so they're going to hop on. One of their guys is going to hop on as well.
What do you mean a new golf show? Like a local show?
In Charlotte. And they kind of do it regionally. They're doing it kind of all the way up to, I think, maybe Southern Virginia. And they have it on in Myrtle Beach, at least.
I got you.
Called the Golf Shop Now. Pretty cool.
So they just buy the airtime?
Maybe we can talk about that after the live stream.
I don't know how that stuff works.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about today after the live stream. We're keeping a lot of secrets from you guys.
Oh boy.
Now we need a fourth, Craig says. Craig, you never really had a fourth. It was just going to be Bill.
We can start the Radio Insider Patreon for 1 hour after each show.
The Big Carrot bonus hour. Steven's got the sports package on Dish. I get all the college networks. We're going over to Steven's house. That 65 inches, Steven. Big Carrot's challenging you now. Mine is only I think 50 maybe.
I had a 48 incher, and that was my big one down. That is in like the living room.
That might be what mine is. They don't even.
I didn't think it was going to be substantially different, but it's substantially different. 65 is huge.
The Gamecock Larry answer, at least. His is at least 65 inches.
I was going to just say, by the way, with Gamecock Larry, wasn't that the late in the Muschamp era, he started guaranteeing Muschamp would be around for 2 or 3 more years? Like, I feel like that was the kiss of death.
I couldn't believe he only said 2 out of 3 and didn't guarantee a sweep.
Right, only 2 wins? Oh, you're saying it's Texas?
Yeah, Texas.
Wouldn't that be something if Frank gets to the SEC semis for the first time with this team?
That would be that actually would be the
right? Almost. Because I'm rolling the dice. Here's a little inside radio that I will put out on the live video stream. I'm rolling the dice. I got to set up Friday before, obviously, we know what happens tonight. And if Carolina basketball wins, then we got the combination of Carolina baseball and basketball on at the same time. I am not setting it up that way. I just feel like the odds are cleaner. Things are much cleaner that way, but it'll be quite the cluster if Carolina wins from a radio perspective for us trying to scramble and get it on.
Yeah. I think you're making the right call.
It'd be easier to add than it will be to subtract.
Around, yeah. Is there a spread on this game?
Was the thinking. I'm sure there is.
On the game tonight?
Yeah. You know what it is?
Take offense to that. What do you mean? Is there a spread?
I haven't looked this morning, but I'll tell you here.
Does anybody know what it is?
I'm sure people know.
It is.
Shocked that Bill wasn't one of those people. I'd say.
Well, I hadn't looked it up, Daddy. You know, they.
Might put all my money on Ole Miss and buy a second TV tomorrow.
See, it's a late game.
All right, here we go. You're
with Blythewood and get it going with the integrated media 107.5 The Game Spring Golf Tournament. This morning, through hour number 1, really the highlight for me has been Patrick's glee, and I think that's the correct word here. Seeing the smile and the twinkle in his eye talking about a new purchase. And at 25 years old, I think it's right there. Now, I would be very concerned if you were talking to me about your new house, a new home that you had purchased at 25. I'd be like, whoa, that's all right. But I think it's very age appropriate right now that, but it's also because I'm 43 and I'm an old dude. And, we just had our third child about a year ago. I was thinking of other sources of pride that guys talk about. I was like, oh, having a kid's always a good one. And so you're not quite on that life path either. So I think the new 65-inch television is a great thing to be proud of and to be very happy about this morning, Patrick, especially knowing that you are the world's best quarantiner. So I think it might be even more important for you.
I'm really excited to watch a football game on it. I might watch an FCS game this weekend.
Now you were
care less about just for the sake of watching football.
You were explaining it to us, but you don't have it mounted on the wall, or is it just on a nightstand?
No, I have like it's not a dresser or a desk necessarily. It's like got a bunch of totes in it that I use as a dresser, so it's sideways. It can go long ways or horizontal, and
right.
Yeah, I just have the TV on there. It's got a couple like hooks on the bottom, so it stands up.
Right. Is it long ways horizontal?
Vertical or horizontal. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you mean you can change the television angle?
No, like you just switch the totes. Like it's got a bunch of cubbies, and you can put them upright or.
I'm just trying to. So yeah. So you
I've been in a different house 5 of the last 6 years, so I'm not mounting anything.
No, that makes sense. You're at that place in life, and I think a lot of people. I know Travis hit you up earlier. Said, "The bachelor life, enjoy it." And then KT was complaining that no married women want you to get a big TV, and then that we kind of digressed from there. We'll get back on the sports conversation to start hour number 2 here. Last night it was the Gamecocks down in Charleston, and a great night for baseball. And this is part of what makes college baseball, I think, so special in the state of South Carolina, is that it's not just the Gamecocks and Clemson that care about baseball. It's a program like the Citadel. It's a program like the College of Charleston. It's a program like Coastal Carolina, which clearly is kind of a step up from those two having won a national championship. But there are so many people that care and pay attention to college baseball in this state compared to other states. It really does make it special. And last night, all you got to see is one video example of that. It was the Citadel pitcher, Simon Graff, at the end of the 7th inning, headed to his first base dugout. But, Bill, what really grabbed your attention was not the emotion shown in that the Citadel was in control of the game and really shutting down the Gamecock bats to this point, but it was that where the emotion was directed towards the Gamecock dugout. And clearly, Carolina, whether it was 1 + 1 = 2, or it just happened to be that the right pitcher came on the mound in the 8th inning, but that's when the Gamecocks got 6 runs with 2 outs and took the lead, took control of the game, went on for the 11-7 win now to improve to 11-0 on the year. And I'm guessing if the Citadel had to do it over again, maybe you don't do that. I don't know if it matters, right? I don't think USC Upstate beat Clemson the other night 12-2 because they were extra motivated because of anything that Clemson players did. I just think sometimes this happens in baseball, but the timing of that thing, not just coincidental. I think it's fair to say. What about you, Bill?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where, again, it was directed. Is it Gaff, Gaffe maybe? I think that's, or Simon. I can't remember now.
I think it's Graff, like Steffi.
Okay, yeah, but anyway, the point is like just absolutely going back at the South Carolina dugout. Like, again, I got it. I understand it happens. This kind of stuff happens. People get fired up in sports, and you mentioned it. You're the Citadel. This is a huge game. South Carolina's undefeated. You got a chance to knock them off. You can make a statement, pick up a statement victory early in the season, maybe turn your season around. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But then to direct your excitement at the South Carolina dugout, it just made me wonder if there had been some jawing back and forth between the teams during the game. I didn't know if that had been going on or not, but then the following inning, everything kind of goes haywire for you. I feel a little bad. I wonder if that pitcher woke up feeling a little bad, or if he's just like, "Hey, man, I did my job. You guys couldn't finish it. It's not my fault. Like, I had him pinned down."
Pitchers have to have short memories, though, right?
No doubt.
That's kind of how it is. So, and you're not always going to be 100% when you taunt somebody, and sometimes you're going to still lose.
But I think that's Bill's point, right? What do you gain by that? Well, you're not gaining an advantage by sending it over that way. Like, I get it. If you're an emotional guy, get it out, right? If you thrive on emotion and you want to fire your team up, or you're fired up and that will help fire your team up, keep it within your team, right? I always tell this to my little kids that I'm coaching, like, hey, we don't talk to the other team. We talk to our team. And it would have been just fine. It still would have been a highlight and maybe a video that would be going around about this is early March baseball, right? And the Citadel goes in last night 4-6. Yes, they deserve to be fired up. Absolutely. It's when you go out of your way to show up the opponent and show it to the other team. What is that smirk about?
I just like mowed down your lineup. I just got the big out. Like, I'm just kind of boasting about it. Is he not the pitcher? Did he not come back out for the 8th?
Yeah, he came out and
he did.
No, he pitched and he gave up the initial double and then was removed. Okay. I think he might have gotten the first 2 outs, to be honest.
I mean, the purpose would be a mental edge, right? If you're trying to send a message like, yeah, you guys can't hit on me. And then, I mean, yeah, it's like a DB saying, it's like a defensive back saying, hey, you're not going to catch anything on me. Then he catches something on you, and you can't just be like, oh, I was wrong. No, you have to keep coming with the same energy the whole time. And just
you have to
do it better next time.
Are we going to get into an old man generational conversation here? Joey wants to take it that way. Joey from Sumter on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. We had Tim and Chapin send in a video link of Drew Lock throwing up some horns when he threw a touchdown pass as the Missouri quarterback against Texas in the Texas Bowl a few years ago, and then Texas picked him off not long ago, and they just mocked him mercilessly, including head coach Tom Herman on the sidelines. Patrick, you used the example of Steph Curry just eyeballing the other bench, and Joey works that into his text here. Whether it's Drew Lock throwing up the horn, Steph Curry eyeballing the other bench, or pitchers talking trash to the opposing dugout, it's all disrespectful. It's just a different generation. Guys are mid to late 40s, and the things that people say to each other nowadays, maybe he's saying I'm mid to late 40s, or guys in their mid to 40s. I'm not sure there.
We have to know because
what's that?
We have to know how old Joey is because I guarantee there was trash talking from his generation.
We wouldn't have dreamt of saying in our time, Joey's saying. So I'm guessing he's kind of like my age, I'm early 40s, way early 40s and 43. They disrespect this generation. The disrespect this generation has really is kind of unbelievable.
Is he from the Joe Namath generation? Because didn't Joe Namath
guarantee a Super Bowl 3?
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't around for it, but I'm pretty sure Muhammad Ali talked a little bit of trash too.
That's a good example. Well, and that's the thing too, right? So many more cameras, so much more video. I think it's easy to come to the conclusion that Joey just did. Also, there is something in my 43-year-old brain that makes me want to say, oh, the kids these days. I don't know when that happened exactly. Maybe about 35. Kids these days. There's something back there. But
yeah, I will say
right. I don't think it's generational.
Teams these days nowhere near as bad as or nowhere near as nice as the Miami Hurricanes of the 80s, right?
Good one.
That's not like that sweetheart Buckus.
How about the old Rudy Tomjanovich video of the punch in the face, and then was that Kermit Washington back in the day?
The old Raiders, Ronnie Lott, and
no, not a Raider. You got to go 49.
No, who was he was 49er, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who was the guy that didn't wear gloves? That wore stick them all over his gloves. The famous safety for the Raiders.
I don't know if he was safety. No gloves.
I think he was number 42.
Interesting. I don't know who you're going with on that one. I think you might have a team confused there.
No.
Okay. Jason goes with, I remember Mark Gastineau celebrating, led to a massive team brawl. Both
Jack
teams
Tatum
fighting it out.
That is 32.
Jack wasn't a linebacker. He was a safety.
I don't know.
Listed as a safety, but he was 32. And by the way, Ronnie Lott did play for the
end of his career with the Raiders.
Yeah,
gotcha. I can see how a 25-year-old might equate Ronnie Lott to the Raiders. I just can't do that. Oh, Michael Irvin, great one, Gator Steve. Man, I just did not like Michael Irvin. Well, and I think it came from those matchups with the Gamecocks in Miami, or the one specifically down in Miami where Carolina almost won that thing. I believe it was in '87, and it seemed like he was the first one to me, the first wide receiver to me that was a guy that was going to celebrate on every single catch he made. Like I feel like he was the first guy with the first down celebration, and it kind of went from there. Is he not that guy for you, Bill?
Who? Irvin?
Michael Irvin, yeah, at Miami before even getting to Dallas.
Well, yeah, it's a little bit before those Hurricane teams. I mean, I was like 6, 7, 8. That's just slightly before my time with what Miami is. I think there's probably some older Gamecock fans. You probably are right there on it. We're at the brawl in the Orange Bowl where they're slinging around poor old Todd Ellis. You got Joe Morrison just unleashing the Gamecocks from the sidelines, and then basically Miami and South Carolina saying they would not play each other for years after that. So yeah, that's just a slightly before my time.
Joey, well done. He's back in. Our original texter says, I'm 48, guys. I guess what I meant to say is if Steph Curry hit a three-pointer and did that stupid shoulder shimmy and glare at the 85 Detroit Pistons, Bill Laimbeer, give him a shoulder check to the ground, kick the ball in the stands, and tell him if he did the game, he would have thrown him in the second row.
He'd be right to do so, and I'd love
Joey, what do you think Larry Bird did to the Pistons?
He didn't do the shoulder shimmy, but
not the shoulder shimmy, but Larry Bird
talked more. He did a lot of talking. I would give the Reggie Miller example. I feel like Reggie Miller was the Steph Curry of his era, where he'd hit a three and let you know about it pretty quickly. Except Steph, obviously, I think a little better player all the way around. See, I don't think this is a generational thing, man. I think we've seen this. We've seen guys. Deion Sanders, a good one from Anthony from Kershaw. Another guy playing with plenty of flair. I don't remember him necessarily taunting. I remember a lot of celebrating. To me, there's a difference, right? And it's what you said, Bill. Like celebrating, showing emotion, and a bunch of guys are weighing in this morning, by the way.
Isn't it taunting if you high step into the end zone?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Like, you can't do that in college football, right? You'll get flagged for that for taunting,
right.
Won't you?
So ridiculous. Yeah. Lester Hayes is the guy I think everybody's saying that you were looking for, Patrick, by the way.
Well,
safety.
There's actually a lot of names coming in. Steve Atwater, I saw on the text on the Facebook Live. But yeah, Jack Tatum was. Rich said Tatum was a strong safety and one of the most violent people to ever play the game. Lester Hayes was a corner.
Okay.
So
all right.
There's a bunch of them. I don't know. I wasn't around. I just know that the example that this generation doesn't show respect, or the older generation didn't talk trash. I know the Raiders were known for that.
Larry Bird, trash talker. Porter says the older generation taught this generation how to talk trash. Leon Hayes is another name that popped in there. Steve Tannehill never celebrated, Justin says. I mean, can you imagine? This is 30 years ago almost now. 1992 was when Tannehill was stomping on the paw and signing that thing or hitting home runs as well at Clemson.
Well,
you can't get much more disrespectful than that.
We talk about this year. You just have to be winning, and people are okay with it. Like, we talked about it this year when Shi Smith was getting pulled out of the game because he couldn't control his emotions because he was talking trash. One of the most famous plays and everybody's favorite picture is DJ Swearinger flexing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, that was disrespectful, and that's taunting, but you like it when it's your guy and when it's...
Because Kathleen hits us up on Twitter. Says it's one thing to stare down the opposing dugout. She points out Reed Morgan. It's another to yell who knows what at the opposing dugout the entire way back to your dugout. Also, demeanor in baseball is different than demeanor in football. I have some class. She was clearly not happy about last night. But that's kind of my point. Like, it's some of the taunting that we're talking about. It's one thing to do it and not have it necessarily directed at anybody. That was the thing about last night, right? Like, I feel like we wouldn't be discussing this at all if that pitcher picks up the ball, throws it to first base, and then instead of aiming his aggression and excitement and energy at the Gamecock dugout, aims it at his own dugout and his own teammates.
Yeah,
and he's fired up.
Also, we wouldn't be talking about this at all if the Citadel had closed out this game and Carolina would come back.
I was going to say, if this was a Gamecock pitcher who in the 8th inning got a big strikeout and did that, then came back out to close it in the 9th and got 3 strikeouts in a row, everybody'd be like, oh, what a beast. I love that guy. He just does not care at all. Swagger Confidence. For days. Yeah, like, you'd love it.
This is an interesting take from Kangaroo Kyle on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Babe Ruth called his shot, and probably executed the first bat flip in history 100 years ago. I was just my kids are really into baseball right now, and I've got this book. It's called something like the greatest plays ever made or something like that. And I've got a couple of CDs with the audio calls, and this is one of the first ones in there. Babe Ruth calling a shot and how it's kind of up in history as whether he did it or not. But one thing in the retelling of this story that is absolutely true is that both teams were jawing back and forth at each other in a big way. And this is the way the story goes. This is what got Babe Ruth to call his shot. He's like, all right, I'm going to shut you guys up. I'm going to hit it right there at the flagpole. And that's what he did. And this was, 1920, 1918? So that's why I think we're getting on Joey from Sumter originally. It is so easy to say it's a generational thing, but it's easy to forget too. I mean, your example of Muhammad Ali, Patrick, spot on. We just had, I think, one of those old-timey clips with Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali going back and forth. I mean, those are the greatest trash talkers of all time, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But, Bill, you're exactly right, man. It's our perception of these things a lot of times as well, and how we characterize it later. It's such like revisionist history. A poor Citadel pitcher now, this is going to follow him a long ways. But you're right, in baseball, it's exactly – and that's why I think a lot of us are pro bat flip. Like if you just flip the bat and your head goes to your dugout pumping guys up, you totally earn that in a lot of ways. But if you go to the other dugout's right there and you're pointing, and then it just means something different. Would love to get some other examples of taunting in sports and memorable ones especially. KT says, I remember a few Clemson players doing that to some Ohio State guys around midfield. Then we got a Pete Weber clip in from Waddy, the old bowling taunting.
So that's one of the best clips of all time.
Billy White Shoes Johnson did a great celebration / taunting dance, Jason says, back in the day. All right, I love these examples. Trying to get some historical perspective on what went down last night with Gamecock baseball improving to 11-0 with a 6-run 8th inning, winning 11-7 against the Citadel, who drops to 4-7 now. The Gamecocks hopping on a plane here within the next few hours, heading out to Austin, Texas, to take on the Longhorns this weekend. We'll continue to discuss that. Gamecock basketball tonight at the SEC tournament. Who knows where this show's going to go? I like that we're headed down the taunting road, though. It's the early game. It's 107.5 to game.
Clear. All right. Crowder.
See, I think I missed a lot here. Oh, Brian Bosworth. Nice. Deshaun Jackson. Ira Hillary. Nice. And that Carolina, Miami. Good stuff.
Some of us out here spending their stimulus money on big things like televisions. Maybe some of you are out there thinking you want to save some of that money. You can do that by refinancing right now your existing mortgage. If you want to refinance, you need a mortgage guru, and Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank is here to do that for you. Give him a phone call today, 803-719-1005. You can also email him, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER at firstpalmetto.com is the way to get in touch with him. Again, Jacob's helping people save $300, $400, $500 on their monthly mortgage payment. So if you've been thinking about refinancing, don't wait around any longer. Get in touch with the mortgage guru today. See what he can do for you and your family. Maybe you're thinking about purchasing a home as well. Now is the time to do it. 803-719-1005. Get in touch with Jacob, First Palmetto Bank. See what they can do for you and your family. That phone number again, 803-719-1005. He's the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank.
You gonna make it?
Yeah, I think so.
Attaboy.
Do that. Right.
I hear you, Craig. Austin's a great town.
Yeah, I would love to go to Austin.
Jimmy, you haven't seen the video, the Citadel picture? I'll retweet it now. Who put it up originally? I saw it several different places. I think Citadel might have actually. No, maybe. I think the Citadel page did, didn't they?
Yeah. I just typed in Simon Graff in the search bar and it popped up.
Yeah, the Citadel actually put it up themselves.
I would have too at that time. Good for them. Just needed some sound to go with it. Oh, yeah, this is the whole thing. I haven't seen this version of it, actually. So they're showing, yeah. Let's see if they keep it going. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that whole thing yet. There we go. I have retweeted it. I'll put the link up, too. I guess is the way to do that. Make it a little easier for you. This technology stuff, man.
On the screen right there?
What's that?
I wonder if you're able to share it on the screen, on the live screen.
Yeah, easier. I just put it in the chat there, and you can go to it.
Okay.
Have you ever? I know that. Have you seen the hashtag ban the wave thing on Twitter?
I'm not.
Might have been a Nationals thing. I know that was a. It was like a. I don't really remember where it started, but I think they were like down a couple runs or something, and the fans did the wave, and then the Nats just went on a ridiculous run, and they started the hashtag ban the wave like during the World Series run.
Yeah, remember that Louisville pitcher? Is it Luke
Yeah.
Smith?
What?
I want to see the video again.
I'm trying to remember the full context of that. That was in the College World Series, right?
He screams at Vandy.
They got
then
ejected?
Ends up losing. What's that?
Oh, he ended up losing?
Yeah.
Oh. Was it in the College World Series?
Yeah. I mean, typically, that's about all people are going to pay attention to with college baseball, unfortunately, nationally. Yeah, he had the old Rex specs there.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, this is a longer one. I don't want to look at this, man. Come on. Oh, it was where you could read his lips when they were doing the slow-mos of him going off the field. And it was clearly a forget you.
Did he not get ejected, or did?
No, not at all.
Huh.
They came back on him. I'm looking now. Got the exact one in the ninth inning. Louisville's up 2-1.
Did y'all see the video last week?
He's on pitch 117. Wow, walks the guy. Sorry, go ahead.
Did y'all see the video last week of Tulane, Mississippi State? And the Tulane kid is just killing Mississippi State, and they go out and they check his glove for pine tar, and the area that he's rubbing, in his glove with his fingers, the umpires don't even check, so they give him his glove back. He gets back on the mound, looks over at the Mississippi State dugout, and rubs his fingers in the exact same place and keeps pitching.
Yeah, I saw John Boy, the Yankees guy, do a little breakdown of that.
That was hilarious.
That's what I'm looking at right now for this Luke Smith thing for Louisville. Oh, so he gave up a walk and a hit to tie it, and then they took him out with like 120 pitches in, and Vandy went on to win it.
Was that 2 years ago?
2019, yes, sir. So not even 2 years ago. The last College World Series.
Yeah.
We got a first text in from anonymous texter since July. I love it.
All right, we're coming back.
That's a good point, Adam. All right, we got all kinds of stuff floating in here. Let's set the stage this morning. You might not have heard the call last night, or even if you did, it's certainly worth hearing again. Tommy Moody fired up on the call last night with Brad Muller on the Learfield IMG College broadcast. The Gamecocks down going into the 8th inning and really responded in a big way against the Citadel.
Noah Myers is going to scamper home for the go-ahead run for the Gamecocks. It is a stand-up double for Braylon Wimmer, make him 1 for 5. A score of 7-6 with clutch hits from Brady Allen and Braylon Wimmer. There's a line drive in the right field for a base hit. That's going to score at least 1. It's going to score 2. Josiah with 2 runs batted in, and the Gamecocks lead this game 9-6. Another blue darter hit by a Carolina hitter. Pitch on the way. Breaking ball. There's a high drive to right field. See if it's going to carry. Going back to the wall and making a. He drops the ball up against the wall. Carolina's got a run in. Carolina's got another run in. Eister goes the other way. Finally, Brad Muller, for the first time in several games, hit it up against the wall. The right fielder McCarthy got a glove on it. But when he hit that green padded wall out there, it popped out, and the Gamecocks have 2 more across the plate. Yes, they poked the bear.
They did poke the bear. Now 11-6 Gamecocks.
And 11-7 the final score against Brad Muller. Tommy Moody on the call. Deerfield IMG College Network here on 107.5 The Game last night. Big weekend now for Carolina baseball. Hopping on a plane headed to Austin. But it was a little bit of video that will add to your context there of what Tommy and Brad were referring to there, poking the bear. Simon Graff was the pitcher for the Citadel, gets out of the inning in the 7th with a grounder back to the pitcher, and then proceeds to stare into the Gamecock third base dugout as he kind of celebrates heading to his first base dugout. That leads us to a taunting discussion this morning, and a bunch of you weighing in. I like this one. Anonymous texter hadn't hit us up since July. Sports involve the mind, body, and spirit. If you are able to affect someone's mental state to gain advantage during a game, then it's fair game. The mentally tougher opponent will rise to the top and win. It's deep stuff, right, guys? Then Adam says, so it was Joey from Sumter who hit us up a little while ago and said, this is a generational thing, right? Disrespectful. I'm 48 years old. Would have never dreamed of doing this. And then we brought up plenty of examples of older guys, Larry Bird, Muhammad Ali, Miami football in the 80s. Adam says, and maybe this was before we brought up the Babe Ruth calling a shot, all the arguments y'all are making are for football and basketball. Baseball's different. It's why there are so many unwritten rules. It's a game of class. Other than the occasional bat flip, you didn't see this in the 80s and 90s, mainly because a guy could destroy you with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball on any given pitch. Bill, what do you think of that take from Adam about how just baseball is different?
Well, in that way, yeah, baseball polices itself, right? That's what we've always heard. Like if you step out of line in baseball, it's the game that steps in to police you and inform you that you've stepped out of line, and so yeah, it's you stare at a home run a little bit too long, you stare down a pitcher after something, yeah, the game gets you back. So it's
which is why the sport is not as popular as it used to be.
It's not the case in NASCAR. If you get out of line in NASCAR, they don't get you back.
I don't know about that. We'd have to ask Jen about that one.
I'm confused. Why is the sport not as popular as it used to be?
It's boring, and anytime somebody has personality, it's a problem.
But doesn't that create more drama and more conflict? Doesn't that usually draw people in? If you're beating somebody,
baseball fans are like, "How dare he do that? How dare somebody talk trash? How dare somebody flip their bat? How dare somebody?"
Well, no. To your point, Fernando Tatis swinging on 3-0.
Yeah, it was a big problem, but we love it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think the three of us will be arguing about that. I think it's more older baseball fans.
Yeah, I think it's shifting.
Tommy Moody. You're just calling out Tommy Moody, who seemed.
No, I'm calling out people that get mad about that stuff.
Tommy seemed very happy last night about the bear being poked and the bear getting the business back.
Well, and this is the thing as well. I think somebody asked him on a broadcast a couple of games ago. I think it was Earl Bass talking about how he used to talk trash back in the day. And Tommy said, yep, he and Gorman Thomas, the two most confident baseball players I've ever seen. Like Gorman Thomas was 70s and 80s, and you can translate that real quick to, yeah, they talked it. I mean, I feel like it's also the way that we talk about it around and put it into context. Trash talking or confident, right? They can be very much the same thing. It just depends on if they're on your team or on the other team. And there are examples through the years. Now, Patrick, you would agree, though, that this generation is quicker to go the disrespectful route than previous generations. Isn't that fair?
What do you mean?
Well, basically what Bill's saying. So if you're talking trash or you're getting excited, that's one thing. But taunting does cross the line typically to kind of showing up your opponent or rubbing it in, going that route. To me, there are maybe we just see them more, but I feel like there are more examples. The percentage, whatever it is, and I think there was a solid percent back in the day, 30% time this happens, or 30% guys are likely to taunt. Now I'd say the percentage is probably more like 40% or something like that. Is that fair that that number has gone up, or are you not even willing to concede that?
It might, yeah, maybe a little bit. I don't think it's crazy. I just think I think you're spot on when you say we see it more.
And I think kids see it more. Mac hit us up with a great thought as well on the Cool Air Heating and Air text line. He says, you guys remember the throat slash gestures? I mean, that was a thing for a long time. And then they banned that in football, especially, is where I remember it. And that reminds me of a story that I've told before, but I'll do it quickly again. Best example ever, or most ridiculous example of taunting I've ever seen. Division III football. Hardin Simmons is a D3 powerhouse. You guys need to get on board if you didn't know. Out in Texas. So I'm out there working my first job, TV. Guy, All-American, Kirk Rogers was his name. Actually got a shot with the Kansas City Chiefs a little later on after he was done in his college career. Catches a touchdown, scores in the end zone, gives the old finger up to the sky, immediately followed with the throat slash gesture to the opponent. Like, oh, that's all over the board there, Kirk. Well, that's what are we doing here? But not a flag, man. This was back in 2002-ish, I think, somewhere in there. 20 years ago. Not a flag at that time. Now it would be automatic 15 yards.
Was there ever a move you used? I said because there was one that I particularly started using during one particular South Carolina basketball camp where I had a particularly good week and hit like 3 game winners. And it was on the heels of Mateen Cleaves. I don't know if you remember Mateen Cleaves for Michigan State.
Sure.
And he had hit a big shot the season before in the NCAA tournament, or I guess that April, and I'm at the South Carolina basketball camp in June or July, and Mateen Cleaves had the dagger, and he took the dagger and he put it in his heart and was like twisting it back and forth. So like all week, I hit 3. It was like the best camp I ever had. It was incredible. I was on fire all week, and like twice I hit it, just went, looked at the other team and did the dagger and just started twisting back and forth. That was the 2.
That should be equally as illegal as the throat slash.
Yeah.
The throat slash is awesome though. That should not be a penalty. I like it. Remember, TJ Yeldon did that when they played Johnny Manziel. He did the money Manziel celebration, then the throat slash.
Right.
It's cool.
Well,
it's a cool celebration.
Well, there's a difference. The one you did was 2 hands, right? To me, that's like it's over. The one-handed one with the one finger where it gets a little more graphic across the throat. That's the one I think.
It metaphorically killed you on the football field.
Yeah, but
what's wrong with that?
Hey, you say that 25 years ago? Didn't BJ Mackey get suspended for a half for a throat slash against Brent Wright in Florida?
No, that sounds right. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's always interesting to see how these things are taken too. Like, and what happens. Craig says, I think they talk way more back in the day. They all hang out with opposing players now, from like a pro NBA deal. I agree with you on that. Waddy says underrated trash talker Kevin Garnett. Well, I think he's properly rated these days. I think most people understand how good a trash talker he was.
I think there's something too. They might have toned it down a little bit because they know there's cameras and microphones everywhere.
Definitely.
So Kevin Garnett definitely said some things that NBA guys now probably would not say.
No doubt.
Like to Villanueva. for example.
Yeah.
We don't need
That still got out.
No, we're
That
not
still
gonna-
got Charlie Villanueva. Still hadn't recovered from that. Yeah.
Another anonymous texter. How about Steve Smith for the Carolina Panthers? Every time he touched the ball, all he did was trash talk. Ice up, son. But that was him, right? I mean, that was part of who he was for sure. Now, the problem is there was no real problem with Steve Smith, right? One of the greatest, if not the best, Carolina Panther of all time. I'll still go Sam Mills, but I understand if you want to go Steve Smith. He backed it up with his production. I think the problem that most of us have with this is when players don't understand the context of doing this. And that's where we got into the conversation with Gamecock football recently, and especially the secondary. If you would be down and you make one play or there's one incompletion and then you start to talk or you start to make gestures, and to me, that's where the disconnect is, right? So that's why I didn't have that big of a problem last night. The Citadels 4-6 going into last night's game. They were taking on the perennial powerhouse Gamecock program that's won national championships. I mean, you got to think, Simon Graff is 18 to 22 years old, anywhere in that range. This was 11 years ago the Gamecocks started their run. So as he's growing up, starting to know about baseball, Gamecock baseball is winning back-to-back national championships and playing for a third. They're the gold standard in college baseball. And they were shoving it to the Gamecocks last night, out hitting them dramatically going into the 8th inning. So I get his exuberance for sure, and I don't have a tremendous problem with what he was doing. Would have been smarter to stay in your own dugout and keep your face out of the other dugout for sure, but I get it. It's when your team is getting whipped, especially in football, especially in that emotional game, and you're on defense, and there's a bad pass. This is what really bothers me a lot of times. Your guy got open, and the quarterback made a bad pass, and it's incomplete, and you're going to celebrate as a DB? What are you doing? Where is your head? Like, if you're celebrating that, to me, you got no context. You got no stake in the game. You're just thinking about yourself and how good that made you look, you think. And everybody knows that's watching the game. That didn't make you look good, man. That was just a bad play by the other team. Stop it. You're just ridiculous. So I agree with the texter who hit us up about getting a mental edge and how sports does involve the psyche a lot. I wish we could have some golf trash talk stories. Or, that was the great thing about Tiger for so long. If he had a lead on Sunday, typically his playing partner was brutal. And he would always rise to the top and close it out for so long. And there was something involved there that was more than just hitting the ball and playing golf regularly. There was a mental advantage that he had. And it wasn't because of trash talking necessarily. I think it was just the aura and his intensity and the whole deal. But there was certainly something to it, Bill, where it wasn't just, hey, this guy's good at golf and he's going to play better on Sunday. There was that you don't want to get in that situation against Tiger Woods because you're never going to win. That aura of invincibility that has, of course, obviously gone away and morphed and evolved through the years. But that's, I think, maybe the best example of my lifetime of that spiritual part of sports really being evident to all of us, even if we can't quite put words to it or figure it out necessarily.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on Tiger Woods. He's different, and you don't have anybody like that right now in golf as we get ready for Sawgrass this morning for the TBC. But yeah, I'm with you on that. But his wasn't talk. His was just demeanor, right? Just straight demeanor. It was.
No
I
doubt.
don't think he said a word. I think even not saying a word was more intimidating than saying anything.
David, right on point on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Who will flip a club tomorrow? Oh, we're going to have a lot of club flipping going on at the Heckle Hole, the Camp Cole Heckle Hole out at Windermere Golf Club. Would love for you to be a part of the golf tournament. Need more information, I'll give that to you when we come right back. More taunting examples as well after Gamecock baseball. Big 8th inning coming back after the Citadel poking the bear last night. 11-0. Carolina heads to Austin this morning. The big series against Texas this weekend. It's the early game on 107.5 again.
Clear. All right, Corley.
Oh, yes. You've heard us talking about it. Big golf tournament tomorrow. That signals that spring is here. The time is going to change over the weekend. That's another sign. Weather's heating up. That's a sign right there that you better have your pool ready to be used this summer. Are you maintaining it right now? Is it being properly treated? Is it being tested for the chemicals? Is it being balanced properly? How about the vacuum and net brushing? Are you taking care of all that? How about this? It's easier to allow an expert to do it, and it's cheaper. Keyword, cheaper to allow an expert like Corley Pool Solutions to take care of it for you than it is for you to do it yourself. Did you know that? Find out for yourself. Give Tracy Corley a call this morning and see what he can do. 803-445-8109. Corley Pool Solutions. His team has been taking care of pools in the Midlands for over 20 years. That's an expert right there. They offer flat rate monthly pricing for taking care of your pool. So whether it's the testing of chemicals, adding chemicals for water balancing, vacuum and netting, brush or skimmer cleaning, filter backwashing, Tracy and his team take care of all of it, and they're there when you need them. So if you've got a problem on Saturday morning, you give Tracy a call. He's out there. That's the kind of service you need, because when you want to use your pool, your personal pool, you want your kids to be able to enjoy it, you want to make memories with your family, you want it to be clean and ready to be used. You don't want to be waiting around or having to go to the pool store yourself, purchase chemicals, try and balance it out yourself. You want an expert that has already done it, that knows what they're doing and can get it fixed immediately. Give Tracy Corley a call this morning, 803-445-8109. That phone number again, 803-445-8109. That's Corley Pool Solutions.
All right, Hope's in.
Good morning.
Morning, Hope. Trey, haven't heard much from you here. Yeah, Joe Kelly, good call. National treasure, pouty face.
Oh,
Travis is in on that. Trey, what story you got there holding the standard? Looks like Patrick's got a buddy.
oh, he's got a buddy.
I got a link to that BJ Mackey.
Oh, yeah? Just run flat?
There's that beautiful morning.
But it was against Georgia back in the day.
I'm having some conversation.
Last second heat off the fourth rim, no good.
Scott call. Oh man, that's pretty brutal.
Oh yeah, I saw it out Monday and Tuesday. Had a right big right ear infection.
I will retweet this thing for you.
Yeah, I've been working a little bit with you.
Thank you, Mac. That one goes out to Mac.
All right, like I said,
Yeah, yeah. What is Bill doing? He's on the phone. He's probably talking to his neighbors. Patrick, everything all right there?
Yeah. This mic keeps falling off the little grips because it's hanging a little low. Now that I have to sit in this small chair.
That is pretty good, Trey. Dustin Pedroia and David Wright. Oh, yeah. Russell in South Texas talking about NC State and Gamecocks back in the day. Brad. That's a good one. Oh, good stuff on the text here. I'll read them out loud when we come back.
We got 1 minute. Who is the biggest trash talker on the Washington football team?
Josh Norman, is he still there?
Nah, he was a free agent. He was on the Bills last year.
That's right.
It's a good question. It really might be Chase Young, but he's like also kind of respectful. Actually, it's probably Cam Curl, the rook safety. Yeah, I think it's Cam Curl. He got suspended from Arkansas for, I think it was at Mississippi State, hitting on the cheerleaders while they were warming up in Starkville. All right, we're back.
Great stuff this morning. Appreciate all the contributions, whether you're hitting us up, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, on Twitter, at 1075 The Game, on the station handle where you can find that. We've retweeted some clips of taunting. The reason why we got on this is because Citadel pitcher last night, getting after the Gamecock dugout, headed to the 8th inning. Carolina responding with a 6-run 8th inning, winning the game 11-7, improving to 11-0, headed to Texas this weekend. And that brings up some taunting examples. Good story from Trey about Dustin Pedroia and David Wright talking in baseball, and Pedroia referencing his rings. Right, David Wright was trying to give him a short joke. Bill, I'm guessing you like that story especially.
Yep.
Others of you on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, Patrick Mint was going off on a little bit of a rant about unwritten rules in baseball. Anonymous texter, baseball needs some spark. Sports aren't an uppity thing. It's crazy how you get more raw emotion and trash talk in bowling, darts, and cornhole than you do in baseball. Any of you guys sending in stuff about pro wrestlers, by the way, you do know that's a different category. I get it. They take it to the next level. The throat slashes and the whole thing. You guys have sent in a couple of those.
Undertaker literally kills people.
That's his thing. Jeremy says, I'm with Patrick. The entire unwritten rule thing, to me, makes them all come across as a bunch of babies. He stared at me too long. He took too long to run the bases after a home run. He flipped his bat too hard. Wow. Guys with a little swag, the other team fans act just as childish. I love the game, Jeremy says, but not when people get mad at these guys for having fun and being a little cocky. I wish baseball would allow a little bit of it and not have feelings hurt and want to throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball at them. Love the show and y'all in the morning. How about that? Jeremy, great contribution this morning, sir. Anonymous texter just weighed in with Babe Ruth, called his shot. Greatest of all time taunt. Good call. A bunch of you have mentioned Dikembe Mutombo and the old finger wag as an example. Rocky up in Greenville says, my favorite through the years in basketball after a big shot is the Robin Hood gesture, grabbing the arrow and shooting it. Kip's got a great point. We were talking about DBs and frustrated and terrible taunting when your team is losing and there's just an incompletion. My favorite, Kip says, is the 4th down interception celebration where you just lost 20 yards of field position.
Yeah.
I get so irked by that. My 8-year-old has figured out you're just supposed to knock it down when it's 4th down. It's a different deal. Knock it down, man. Unless you got a pick 6 going. Just knock it down. Oh, Brad.
Add the stats.
Yeah, that's true. The difference in baseball, Brad says, because of the length of the game, there's not that nonstop action. Teams can lack energy at times. If you're playing a team that's better than you and they're not pumped up, it's just dumb to call out the whole team while the entire stadium is watching you. The Gamecock dugout woke up immediately, and the team was fired up the rest of the way. Hard to disagree with that, Brad. Seems like that's exactly what happened last night, and the Gamecocks stay undefeated. We roll into hour number 3 here on the early game.
Clear.
All right. There goes Patrick. I'm going to step away for a minute.
All right. Both you guys just leaving me hung out to dry here. Richard Sherman versus Michael Crabtree is a good one, KT. See why. Oh, God, what a power man. Nothing on that. Oh, Waddy, you're going hockey on me? Pretty good. Yeah. I think that was DK Metcalf. Oh. That wasn't very bright. Let me double check that. I think that's the thing. We want to enjoy the taunting. It's just some people screw it up so bad. Oh, Matt B going old man on me. I got a Seinfeld reference. Good stuff. Got to retweet the Seinfeld reference for you guys. Oh, fun show this morning. Even when the guys abandoned me here. Looks like Patrick's back. Don't wave your hand like you didn't walk out of this.
I've been back. I've been trying to talk. I was gone for 5 seconds.
How dare you? That means you were dead to me.
I missed a lot.
Yep, Travis, we've gotten the Deion Sanders. For sure.
Yeah, I looked up the Cam Curl thing, and he got suspended for the last game of the year for flirting with Mississippi State cheerleaders in a game they lost 52-6.
Oof.
I think he got suspended for Chad Morris's last game.
Was it DK Metcalf?
DK Metcalf.
The Ole Miss receiver?
DK Metcalf peed the first time and didn't get in trouble for it. The next year was Elijah Moore, who did get flagged for it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Elijah Moore might be a first-round pick this year.
Good call, Chad. Good call. We got to get 600 today, surely.
Yeah, have to.
That means all we need is 400 tomorrow at the golf tournament to get to 1,000. Patrick, let's not forget Kerry Tharp at 8:40 this hour.
Oh, okay. I would have forgotten. Sure. Oh, yeah. So, you remember when Trent Williams punched Richard Sherman in the face after a playoff game?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you remember that or not. Redskins fans do. Well, Sherman's got a podcast now with Chris Collinsworth. It's a PFF podcast, and Trent Williams was on it. And I didn't even really think about it at the time, but they seemed to have a great relationship now because they're on the same team last year. But they were going back and forth about the most freak athletes in the NFL because Trent Williams is one of them, and they were talking about AP because Trent Williams and Adrian Peterson own a gym together. But Sherman and Trent Williams both mentioned Deebo Samuel. And said that the way he runs and his contact balance and all these things is just something they've really never seen before. And they went for a couple minutes going back and forth just talking about how much of a freak Deebo is.
All right. Well,
Cool
Champ
to hear.
always said his lower body, man, he's like a running back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool to hear the best left tackle and one of the best, probably the best corner of his generation, raving about Deebo in the same sense as Adrian Peterson.
Hope definitely going to try to live stream tomorrow. As long as the internet cooperates, we'll be doing that. I would love to do it not just during the show hours. If I get set up on the old heckle hole, I'll do it in 6 to 9 hours as well. If we can get it going. I don't know if we'll be able to or not. We'll see. And Trey, yes, I'll definitely open the tournament by take out your phones or you will not be allowed to go out to your first hole. Subscribe to the YouTube page now.
I guess Trey listened to the podcast. Yeah, that's exactly what he said. Marshawn Lynch's body and a wide receiver about Deebo.
Oh, Jan's already in on a pick for NASCAR. Chase Elliott, huh? Okay. What is this, James? What is this? Robbie Keane?
Soccer.
Is that a soccer?
Yeah,
reference?
a little bit. Yeah, a little bit before my time, I think.
Okay. Your coach made you practice the cartwheel forward roll celebration. That's impressive. Got a formal endorsement from Trey with that podcast. Okay, good to know. Let's see what else we got in here.
Sherman's a smart dude. He knows
Yeah, he
football.
is. No doubt.
Oh man. Maryland plays at 11:30 a.m. today.
March Madness. It's here.
Yeah, I thought it was a night game for some reason. I'm gonna have to step and watch that because they need to win to get in, probably. Nobody wants to play Michigan State right now.
No doubt. Waddy went with Patrick Waugh, putting on both his rings in his ears so he wouldn't hear someone talking smack. It's pretty good.
I don't know if people consider him the greatest goalie of all time. I think he's in that discussion. Marty Brodeur. I don't know who else is in there. I think I had a Patrick Waugh jersey.
You gonna make it, Bill?
Yeah, I just took the antibiotic, the morning version.
My dad said he set himself up for an 11:30 sales appointment.
Who's that?
My dad said that for the Maryland game.
11:30. Is it me, or does South Carolina always play the latest game possible at the SEC tournament?
It's you. They definitely do every now and again.
It feels like they're always in that 6-11, 7-10 game.
No, they got the double bye. How many consecutive years in a row? At least 3 or 4, I think.
Oh, yeah, that guy weighing in.
Look at Jeff Coat. Pitcher's got a dip in. It's a good one. Trey agrees with you, Bill.
I saw that. Thank you.
All right. We're back. You're up.
Hands down, Trey Dyson was the greatest dugout trash talker in college baseball. Could change the momentum with one of the greatest lines ever. Pitcher's got a dip in. That's how we're starting hour number 3. That's from former Gamecock slugger Brian Jeffcoat he's on the YouTube live stream right now. I'm impressed that Brian's getting into the video streaming aspect of the show. He actually joined us before that Clemson game on video, along with his buddy Drew Myers, talking about old Carolina and Clemson baseball stuff. And that has really sparked our conversation today because Carolina baseball now 11-0. They beat the Citadel last night 11-7. Those are the numbers, but the story was the Citadel dominated that game last night for 7 innings. Out hitting Carolina something ridiculous, like 9-3, might have been 10 or 11-3 going into that 8th inning, I think. And then going to that 8th inning, it was Citadel pitcher Simon Graff that was fired up about getting a comebacker to the mound and getting out of the inning. I've retweeted the video showing his emotion, but not just showing his emotion to his team and staying within the team. It was turning to the Carolina dugout and pointing it that way, throwing it their way, and it's where it turned from celebrating to taunting. And clearly, Carolina responding in a big way. Now, maybe it was just the fact that the matchups turned out to be in Carolina's favor, and the bat finally woke up, and a bunch of 2-out hits, and they got 6 runs in the 8th inning and go on to win 11-7. Maybe it would have happened anyway. Maybe it was inevitable. But it's a hard conclusion to come to, I think, if you were at that game or following that game last night, knowing the emotion that goes into college baseball as well. And then we're trying to also figure out, all right, well, baseball is a little bit different than other sports, especially as it comes to taunting and the whole thing. Like Hot Sauce Ross starts us off this hour in the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. The thing about baseball is most of the trash talking or extracurriculars done more low key and not obvious to fans or TV, like hard tags on a pickoff attempt. I was a catcher. It says when cocky hitters would have little bat taps or rituals, I would either wipe away little things they'd spell or kind of stand in their way just to get in their heads. In baseball, you don't have to be loud to get in people's heads. I think it's totally true. And that is a part of the gamesmanship for sure. So, Patrick, as much as I understand where you're coming from about being salty with the old unwritten rules of baseball, or people that are baseball purists and say the bat flip is just completely disrespectful in the whole thing, you are with what Ross is saying there, right? Knowing that there are little things there that is in the game of baseball, that are in the game of baseball that just aren't in other games, right? Or maybe not as obvious to us.
Yeah, maybe not as obvious, because I think there's stuff like that involved in every sport, right?
Yeah, to a degree, but not as maybe not as prevalent as in baseball, just because of the nature of the game, right? Because it's such a slower game, a longer game, and more of a low-key game, less emotional most of the time.
Yeah, because I'm sure, like, at the line of scrimmage, there's all sorts of stuff. Like, I was listening to a podcast last night it was an interview with a long snapper who was talking about how certain defensive linemen would spit on his hands when he was about to snap for a extra point. Like, little things like that you're never going to notice on TV, but it's part of every sport.
It is to a certain degree for sure. Other great examples that have been brought up this morning of taunting. Patrick put out the video of the Canadian football defensive back that was clapping his hands, telling the receiver to come on at him. And then that receiver, because of Canadian football, you can go forward behind the line of scrimmage, just bowls him over 2 seconds later. It's a great piece of video. Bill, you mentioned the old Miami teams back in the 80s after we had Joey from Sumter talking about this generation is just disrespectful. The whole thing. That's a great one. The Babe Ruth calling your shot back in the 1920s, maybe even before, a great historical example that it's not just in 2021 and it's not just this generation, that it's always been there in sports to some degree, maybe not quite to the extreme level of you stealing the Mateen Cleaves dagger to the heart back in your USC basketball camp days.
Camp days, yeah. Very, very early. That was pre-driving, so that was very early on. But yeah, I mean, it's always been around. I think obviously with social media nowadays, it's a lot more prevalent because you can be able.
America.
Thank you. But you're able to capture it on video and it goes viral and it's all over the place. So this morning, think about what we've been able to do is just go back and pull all of the videos or some of the videos that we've wanted to from overtime. Patrick able to go and pull the Canadian Football League video. People have sent us the Louisville picture from the College World Series. So, and then obviously even just being able to retweet last night's video, a random Citadel, South Carolina game that shows the picture. Again, make sure that's our point. Like, nobody had a problem with him being excited about getting the out, about having the lead going into the 8th inning. Like, nobody's complaining with what he did. It's where he directed his energy and how he kind of forced it over toward the South Carolina dugout, to which apparently caught their attention.
I love these kind of stories. My buddy Rocky up in Greenville again. Unwritten rules in baseball, y'all brought back a memory. I'll try to be brief here. He says, high school playoffs, 1979, opposing player slides high into second, spikes our shortstop. When that player came to bat after a first pitch strike, the second pitch on his back. You can't hit him. It's the playoffs. We came close to midfield, a midfield meet and greet. I think you got the message. Or he was on his back. Didn't hit him in the back on the second pitch, just put him on his back. I got the message. Don't spike my shortstop. We won 1-0. LOL.
Bad boy.
Rocky and Greenville. Rocky, I would say, well, that guy should have taken that pitch, right? There's an art to taking pitches as well. If you could spin off it, get it in the upper shoulder area towards the back, didn't quite hurt as bad. You get on base, maybe I could have tied that thing 1-1. It's easy to say when you don't have 80 some miles an hour. I'm guessing it was in high school coming at you. Easy for me to sit here and say, but that's all part of it as well. A bunch of you continue to weigh in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100. Russell in South Texas, another great example. I remember when I went to Raleigh to watch NC State and South Carolina football play when Todd Ellis was there. In the first half, NC State sacked Todd a few times, and every time they would stand over him pretending to pull out their pistols and shoot him. Later in the game, Todd threw a long touchdown pass, turned to the state bench and whipped out his imaginary pistols, twirled them, pretended to unload them toward the bench. Priceless. I believe I've retweeted that video. Patrick, have you seen it? That was way before your time. You haven't seen the video?
No, but I would like to because that sounds electric.
All right, I think
I'm just imagining every time they sacked him, they just stood up and fake shot him.
Well, I think they just gave.
Like, were they headshots or were they were just shooting into the air?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know exactly.
I was imagining them like over his body, laying on the ground, just like double tapping him in the helmet, execution style. Yeah.
That would be a different way of doing it today. That would be a little bit of a flag today.
Yeah, I would think so.
So that video, if you guys search it on YouTube, NC State, South Carolina football, it's up there. And there, I think, extended highlights or something on there. You can find it. Would love for you to add that to the live stream. If you're on the live video, we can just go and click that way, or hit us up on Twitter. I'm at TimHill1075. Bill is at Will Gunter with 1L. Patrick's at _Patrick Perrette. So we got several more examples, by the way, as they continue to flood in. Ocho Cinco, the all-time great trash talker, one of them for sure. I feel like he was a guy, though, that it could go the other way pretty quickly. You know what I'm saying? Get overly emotional and kind of be taken out of his game. He was really good, but also could get penalized and not always smart and the whole thing.
He did it in a more of a lighthearted way, though. He was kind of a jokester. Not kind of, he was a jokester, but I don't know what he said to people on the field necessarily. The child police.
Okay, as opposed to Michael Irvin pops in my head as a lighthearted trash talker.
Yeah.
What about Steve Smith? Steve Smith seemed to be a pretty aggressive trash talker as well, right? He wasn't
Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders strikes me as very aggressive. Someone who's gonna. Yeah.
See, to me, he was more of a celebrator, kind of look at me guy. We had somebody else hit us up a little earlier talking about Terrell Owens back in the day, spiking the ball on the Star, and they thought it was Charles Woodson or Darren Woodson coming in and protecting the Star. I always thought it was George Teague who went back and protected the Star.
T.O. and Deion, I don't even consider them trash talkers as much of showmen.
Right.
Like, that's what's kind of changed now is guys don't do it necessarily. There's too many guys that celebrate just to kind of draw attention to themselves and like do dances and things like that because they're just putting on a show.
How about Jeremy? This is fantastic. And maybe I think this is funnier because I just started coaching an 8U coach pitch team in baseball. So Jeremy says, very true about taking the pitch. With my daughter's 10U softball team I help coach, when they hop over a ball that was low or get out of the way, it's tough love, but I nicely tell them, hey, you should be on first base right now. 10U softball. I don't know about softball. I got no experience with the softball. That thing is large. I don't know if you want to take those as like you do take a baseball. Jeremy out there teaching toughness. Love it. Case just hits us up with all-time taunting king, Steve Tannehill. And that's a great point. And again, it's a point of delineation in this conversation, Bill. There's a massive difference between Steve Tannehill throwing a touchdown pass late in a game at Clemson to get his team the win, hitting the imaginary home run and signing the Paul, than Demetrius Summers and company going to the bottom of the hill before a game starts and being there as Clemson comes down the hill, right?
Correct, yes. Yeah, that's a big difference there. One is celebrating basically a victory. The other is inciting a riot.
So when you do it, how you do it, who you do it to. These are all factors into how we see and how it gets kind of digested, and the other team's reaction as well. Because that was a great thing about the Tannehill example, right? There is no reaction at the end of the game, I guess. And in football, the game is so emotional. You don't run the risk, really, in my opinion, Patrick. Like, I don't remember a game turning on a taunt. Like the Tom Brady Honey Badger interaction in the Super Bowl, no one thinks that the game turned on that or anything. As opposed to baseball, where it's so obvious and things can be so slow and kind of calm. When you get a situation like you got with the Citadel of Carolina last night, it's easy to see how, hey, yep, that was a turning point. It might not have been so smart to do. Is basketball somewhere in between? I guess is my question with the emotion. Bill, you're more of a basketball guy. Do you feel like it's in between there with the taunting, or more towards baseball where you can point to a specific example that'll fire a team up and then they go on a run and so?
Yeah, because I think basketball is more intimate in that way. Like the trash talking is more the close contact of players.
More personal, right?
More personal and not being able to hear. Now, what we've seen more of lately, and this is, what was it, Courtside Kieran, where you've got the taunting from the people sitting courtside that's turned bad for the NBA lately. But I feel like the actual taunt, it's kind of like the NFL too. Like you always hear about the middle linebacker saying stuff to the quarterback over the line of scrimmage or, something like that. But we can't hear that. That's stuff that's pretty much kept within the game and you're not able to hear it. Baseball, I think you can see it a little bit more vividly. Basketball, when somebody hits a three-pointer, obviously sometimes you see it directed at a singular player. Like if it's a back and forth, like say you've got Steph Curry and Damian Lillard going back and forth against each other. But also think in the NBA, there's such a friendship mentality, the old AAU mentality of, hey, I know you, and the back and forth is more of like almost like a good-natured ribbing, like I'm having a good game against you tonight. I don't think it's that personal.
I think a lot of fans will have an example or a memory of, you mentioned that there's not an example of taunting completely turning a game. The one that I can think of is the bowl game, Joe Burrow's second to last year in LSU. It was against UCF, and he threw a pick six right before halftime and got completely depleted. And the other UCF guys came and stood over him. And in the second half, he proceeded to throw for like 300 yards and 4 touchdowns or something like that.
That's a good one. But that was not just taunting, right? That was a play involved. That was.
Well, no, but then they came and stood over him.
Right.
And
I hear
taunted
you.
him. So.
Kevin Hart, the best trash talker in the NBA. This all just works out perfectly with our Camp Cole Heckle Hole tomorrow at the 107.5 The Game Golf Tournament, sponsored by Integrated Media, integratedmediainc.com. Would love to have you guys out there. You can help me or you can be against me. I think we're going to do a closest to the pin there on the 17th hole. I will be going against whoever would like to donate a little extra money to Camp Cole there. And we'll have a discounted round there at Windermere on the line there. And I will be talking some trash. I hope you will be talking some trash as well. It will all be in good fun. None of us will be as good at it as Kevin Hart probably, but we should have some fun out there at Windermere for sure. 10 o'clock tee-off time, by the way. Even if you can't make the tournament, come on by. Come say hi. We'll be out there setting up before our 6 o'clock first. What do we call it on the radio? Do you call it first word? Is that what we call it? Instead of the first pitch? Opening kick? Opening
Hey, block.
Opening sentence.
Clock? No, that's a news term.
Sentence, yeah.
Opening sentence? So, well, we don't always put sentences together on the show. I'm not going to say
Opening Perfect Strangers.
First syllable? How about first syllable? I like that. Opening Perfect Strangers. We don't always start with. If we started with that every time, maybe I'm with you. Later on this hour, by the way, Darlington Raceway President Kerry Tharp set to join us as well. We'll get some NASCAR picks going too in this taunting talk, and there's a lot of that. We'll get Kerry's thoughts on it because as the former PR guy for NASCAR, Kerry was in charge of kind of getting that public messaging correct. I'm guessing he's had some interesting situations, and then maybe being the longtime USC Sports Information Director, he can give us some examples too. Sterling Sharp was always known to talk a little trash back in his day. I was telling you guys my kids are getting into baseball, and I'm kind of given him some of my baseball cards. I broke some more out. And on one of my little baseball books, I have a 1987 Gator Bowl autograph page. I just happened to be there and got some autographs, and they're just pieces of paper like in a baseball page. And Sterling Sharp's number 2 was right in there the other day. Brought back the memories for sure. Would love to hear some of your memories. Got a high school baseball example of talking trash from Tim on the text line there. We'll get more of your trash talking stories as we continue this morning. 803-404-6100 if you would like to call or text. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
Clear. All right, there is.
I saw a video about the pro days from some assistant coaches on Mr. Beamer's staff put out yesterday. If you need some professional help around your house, I certainly do at my house these days, and more than in multiple ways. But one way that you can make it happen, you can see some tangible results very quickly, is to get Zero Res out to your house. Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning does a great job cleaning your carpets. They've been out to my house a couple of times, and I got a lot to clean at my house with the 6- and 8-year-old, and now the not quite 1-year-old waddling around on the floors all the time. So I'm on the floors with him, and very connected to my floors these days, much more than I want to be. Fortunately, they're in great shape because Zero Res has helped us out, and Zero Res does it differently than anybody else. They have a patented powered water system, no harsh chemicals involved, especially important to my wife and I at our house. Also, no leftover soapy residue left behind. That's why left behind. I think that's brought to you by the Department of Redundancy Department. But that's why Zero Res, your carpets will stay longer, cleaner longer, like mine have, and not just at your home. If you have a business, their commercial cleaning division out there working day and night, businesses all over the Midlands, cleaning and sanitizing, making sure they're following all those CDC guidelines, making sure you are protected and everything is as safe and clean as possible. Right now, 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 plus a free hallway when you mention me, Tim Hill. Schedule that Zero Res cleaning today, 803-262-4020, or book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. It's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. So let's get that going here. See what we got in the comments from you guys. Joe Kelly. Yeah, we haven't really mentioned him, Trey. The Pally face is fantastic. Good call, Chad. Swearinger. That was UAB, I believe. No, Arkansas. You're right. It was Arkansas. I don't know why I think UAB. I think he had another pick 6 there, too. The Drew Lock drinking the water bottle was fantastic. No doubt about it there, KT. If it was water, especially. Kind of gross. Kind of awesome. Got more texts in here. Trying to keep up with everything this morning. Yeah, good point there. That was a Georgia football versus Florida football example. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, we mentioned Les hit us up about Swearinger flexing on Andre Ellington. Sterling still talks trash from Wesley. This is classic, Patrick. Emmitt Smith defended my star for the Cowboys, or protected the star for my Cowboys, York said. He absolutely did not.
Are you talking about the TO thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
It was I'm going to go with Teague. I'm looking it up right now. That's my guess. It might have been Woody. Darren Woodson. Let's see. Got it pulled up now, so everybody can hear it. I'm going to be mad if it wasn't Teague. Here Here it is. There he is. It should be number 31 coming through. So that was the first time. Oh, this is a story about it. There we go. Oh, it looks like it's Woody. I think I was wrong. Oh, yeah, Emmett came back and spiked the ball. That's what it was. So T.O. does it first, then Emmett does it, and then, yeah, it's T. All right, I feel better. I feel vindicated. Number 31, George T. smacks him when he tries it again.
Okay.
And
So everybody was right.
This was in 2000 we're talking about. Yeah, so everybody got a piece of truth in that one, I think, except for Woodson. I don't think Woodson was ever involved. This thing's been kind of all over the map. I love it this morning.
I think when they made like taunting or whatever, celebrating into the end zone a penalty, the first one to get the taunting penalty was LSU punter Brad Wing.
Oh, yeah.
Doing his little, going like that as he walked in the end zone on a fake punt.
Baker Mayfield, I was thinking he was going Texas, KT. I was going Ohio State, planting the flag. I was thinking, what about Texas? You got that one, Patrick?
Has horns down been a thing for a long time? Or did
Maybe
Baker start that?
No, I think he might have started that trend.
I don't think Baker started that. I think that's just been something that's been going on for a long time, and it's just picked up steam recently.
Popular, or made it a little bit more famous.
You know who? Actually, the first example I remember doing was Will Greer, I think.
Yeah.
In that game, when he scored that touchdown. I'm gonna find out who started that. We're back. You're up.
Patrick on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line says the entire Georgia football team coming off the sideline to the end zone to celebrate a touchdown against Florida back in the Mark Richt days. They penalized the entire team in the largest outdoor cocktail party there. Coaches, equipment managers, bus drivers, everybody was out there. Man, that was quite the statement. You guys remember that one, Bill? To me, that was how it was orchestrated. I thought it was brilliant at the time.
At the time, what was it? But because that was like a montage of things that happened. There was the timeouts. There was the timeouts or something that occurred the year before, I think, with Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer, where they were called the timeouts late in the game to make Georgia suffer through the end of the game. Is that right? Remember, it was about a 3-year little petty war that was taking place between Meyer and Mark Richt, and I feel like that was the second or the third one, but I'm not sure which one it was.
Yeah, and Florida had kind of had the upper hand in the series for sure, and I think that was Mark Richt's reasoning, telling his team, like, we're not backing down. We're standing up to kind of the bully kind of mentality. And it seemed just so out of character for a guy that is like almost as maybe soft-spoken is not quite the way Mark Richt should be described, but like low energy. He comes off as a low energy guy whenever you hear him talk, or at least he did to me when he was coaching Georgia back in the day, and a guy that would like not condone that, or obviously a guy who seemed to stand up for the right things or be about the right things, and that clearly is not something that is a right thing typically. But I thought at the moment, that's the thing with these examples, right? It's all about what happens in the moment and then what happens afterwards. His team responded to it. I'm pretty sure Georgia won that game and kind of snapped a losing streak in the series, and that goes into it to me. That's why the example last night that started this discussion about kind of taunting in sports at large from the Citadel, a pitcher was Simon Graff, who was all pumped up after the 7th inning, getting out of it, and the Bulldogs in control of the baseball game last night against South Carolina. The bats were quiet, and then the 8th inning happened, and they woke up and a bunch of two out hits and 6 runs in the inning, and Carolina goes on to win it 11-7 last night to improve to 11-0 on the year and head to Texas this weekend. Taunting can have an effect for sure, and it had the exact opposite effect that Citadel would have preferred it to happen last night. They dropped to 4-7 on the season. Bunch more of you weighing in. Rooster P hitting us up says, I want to hear the trash talking. Listen to a truck driver on the CD who just takes it to another level. I think Rooster P is saying it's almost as bad as a certain truck driver texting his favorite sports talk radio show and making fun of some of their personality shorts. Back to work, he says, kids because he cares. Kids because he cares.
Good. Thank you. Sweet of him. Sweet.
Les hits us up, says, don't forget DJ Swearinger doing the Hulk flex over Andre Ellington back in the day. We have brought that up. Wesley just wanted to let us know that Sterling Sharp still talks trash. Good to know. I mean, gotta be who you are. Tim hit us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Baseball playoffs, high schools. 2 innings before the ninth. Got called out on a questionable call. The opposing shortstop pushes me and says it's over. I shove back. Team circles us. Things settle down. Before I walk off, I tell the other team game's not over until I step up at the plate again. 9th inning, full count. I crush one deep to right, get stuck in a rundown between third and home, and score on an overthrow at third. And then you just leave us there? Does that mean, was that the winning run? Did you go on to win the state championship, Tim? I need more. What a pretty good story, nonetheless. And we all, Will from Sumter also brings up that story. Was that Perry Orth that told us that story? Was that Dylan Thompson? I forget which one. About DJ Swearinger coming out at Clemson and going right through the Clemson warm-ups and picking off a pass, like spiking it. Will from Sumter mentioning that, picking off a Clemson pass in warm-ups or anything he did.
I think Dylan has told. It is a Dylan Thompson story. I don't know if he's told it publicly. I'm not sure. It's a well-known story. Now there's actually a grainy video out there somewhere of it, but that's a well-known story. I know Dylan has told that story. Perry Orth's story was the one about in 2015 where
pegging an assistant, right, or a
pegging the guy who was charting their plays. Yeah.
He had the clipboard. Yep. I think G.A. Mangus might have suggested it, or pointed it out.
They said they saw the guy when they're charting their plays. The only thing I disagreed with Perry on that, it was a funny story that Perry said they were warming up and kind of going, running their plays against nobody, and they look over and they see a Clemson GA charting the plays. So G.A. Mangus walked over and had Perry throw a pass toward the sideline that would hit the young man in the chest, and that's exactly what Perry did. Said it sent the paperwork and everything flying, and the only thing I disagreed with, Perry said, yeah, that set the tone for the game. And I was like, y'all got down 21-3, so I'm not sure which tone got set. But
that's all part of these stories, right? The way you tell the story doesn't have to necessarily jive with how it actually happened. Like Day points out, he says the timeouts from Florida, actually the year after that Georgia celebration on the sideline, Florida did the timeouts in response to the celebration. Way to set the record straight. Oh, Tim, thank you. It was a walk-off win, 1-0. Got mobbed at home plate. The look of absolute horror from the opposition was priceless. Unfortunately, we went on to lose, but it will always be a fond memory. Went on in the next round, I'm guessing he's saying went on to drop out. Another texter hits us up from last night, a little bit more context into the Citadel and the Carolina game. The taunting, much lighter earlier in the game last night, but going on the whole time. Anonymous texter says. A couple of Bulldogs were sitting in the dugout with a, quote, radar gun made out of Solo cups, holding up zeros while pointing it at Carolina relievers. Interesting. Another anonymous texter hit us up with that Egg Bowl from a few years ago where Ole Miss lost due to the player simulating, and then the end of the Matt Luke era. Yeah, Patrick set the record straight on that one a little bit earlier. It was DJ Metcalf originally, didn't get penalized, and then it was Elijah Moore who did it kind of as a tribute, and he's the one that did get penalized. They missed the extra point, and then Matt Luke was done at Ole Miss just like that. Somebody else brought up Lane Kiffin, by the way, as an example of taunting, chucking up the old call sheet this year. To me, again, there's a difference between celebrating and taunting. And that one was pure celebration. I get it that Lane Kiffin rubs most of us the wrong way a lot of times. But I didn't have a problem with that one. What about you, Bill?
I didn't look at it as taunting against South Carolina as much as I just saw it as Kiffin doing what he typically does and celebrating, seeing a play, calling the play, and watching it being executed, and having known it was going to be a touchdown from the second he saw it lined up.
To me, that's just who Lane Kiffin is, man. And if all the work that goes into football, drawing up plays and having the situation come up in the game and then executing that thing, doing it in the middle is pretty ridiculous. But that's just how that game was going, man. That's what Ole Miss's offense was against South Carolina's defense. And so to me, no problem with that one. Chavo hits us up on the YouTube live stream, telling us that Mark Richt told his players they better celebrate their first touchdown and they better get a penalty for celebrating it. Travis says a personal example. We tried heckling Brett Gardner in high school over at Holly Hill Academy. Not sure which team Travis was playing for, but then Gardner hit 3 home runs, and that ended quickly.
Didn't go well.
Yeah. I feel like baseball is the best example of taunting gone wrong, right? And we got the Louisville pitcher example earlier, Luke Smith screaming at Vandy players, and unfortunate slow-mo replay at the College World Series a couple of years ago where clearly mouthing something that should not have gone across television, and then about 118, 120 pitches in the ninth inning, he walks a guy and then gives up the run that would tie the game, and Vandy goes on to win the game. And so it is memorable in that way for sure. Not the way that Louisville or Luke Smith would have preferred to be remembered. Good morning from Bill W. in West Columbia. He says, I don't like trash talk, but I must tip my hat to the greatest. Larry Bird, a player who could tell the other team what he was going to do and drain his shot anyway. And it's easy to forget because you don't have, like, I don't know of one video example, Bill, do you, of Larry Bird trash talking? I don't know of a single one. But you got great stories like him walking in the locker room saying, hey, who's going to finish second today at the All-Star three-point shooting competition?
Well, you've got the great stories, but yeah, you're right. You don't have – I don't know if you have anything confirmed because, there's the story that I always loved. What was it they told on – I forget what documentary I was watching about him and a teammate. Which one? I had heard, you hear these things over time, and I'm trying to think the one that I've heard in the last 4 or 5 years, and I forget which documentary it was on about him, about the Celtics coming down to face the Hawks in the 80s, in the late 80s for a playoff game, and him and a buddy going out, him and one of his teammates going for beers at the hotel bar or whatever, and it just happened to be some Atlanta cheerleaders and like some courtside people, some guys I guess the cheerleaders hung out with, and they recognize Bird, so they start buying him beers all night, and so they think they're going to get Larry, and I forget who the teammate was, drunk, and so Larry apparently could drink a ton of beer because that's what people from Indiana do, I guess, and anyway, the next day Larry goes for like 40 points, and as he's walking off the court, he sees the cheerleaders there right by the exit, and he happens to recognize the guys who were buying the beers, and he stops and goes, hey, thanks for the beers last night, and just walks on off, and just your
fantastic. To me, those are the best stories. I mentioned Wesley hit us up a little earlier on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line talking about Sterling Sharp that still talks trash. I didn't realize it was Wesley Bryan who hit us up. He says his brother George calls me a trash talker. I call myself a truth teller. Check out the Bryan Bros YouTube match videos. Well done. Good to hear from Wesley Bryan this morning. Nothing like having the PGA Tour golfer hitting us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. You never know what's going to happen in the show. I do know that we'll have a guest on the Love Chevy phone lines when we come back. It's Darlington Raceway President Kerry Tharp set to join us. We'll have some NASCAR picks. We'll get his story, so some good trash talking through the years. Both I'm guessing from his Carolina days, his NASCAR days. This should be interesting. It's next here. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game.
Clear. All right, Triple A.
Walked outside a few minutes ago. Feels fantastic today. It's going to be a beautiful spring day. It's not going to be the case here for long, though. You guys know how it works here in South Carolina. We go basically from spring immediately into 98 degrees with 100% humidity. Your air conditioner better be working. And if it's not, you better get someone reliable. That's why I use AAA Heating and Air. You need to give them a phone call as well, 803-677-1500. AAA Heating and Air, a family-run business, and that's important to me because I know I can trust them. I'll be honest, you guys have figured this out by now. I don't know much about stuff outside of sports. So, like my heating and air unit, there's not a lot of confidence there. I need someone that when they show up, they're going to tell me what's wrong. They're going to be able to fix it, and I have to trust and believe them. And with AAA Heating and Air, their family environment, their family morals, I believe in what they tell me, and I know they're going to get it fixed for me and my family. And right now, they'll pay you $1,500 to buy back your old unit, plus give you 0% financing with no money down for a new unit. How about that? $1,500 to buy back your old unit, 0% financing with no money down for a new unit. They'll take care of you just like they've taken care of me. I have to trust somebody in this business, the heating and air business, that I believe in, that's reputable, that has a great reputation. That's AAA Heating and Air. Give them a phone call for yourself. 803-677-1500. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
All right, a NASCAR pick, and you will have made it, sir.
Yeah. We'll talk later today. Let me see how the rest of this day goes. We've had there's been a couple little issues here during the show where I'll play it. We'll talk later this afternoon. You got baseball today?
What do you mean baseball?
You got practice? You got practice today?
No,
You're right. Okay.
I'm a Tuesday practice guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sorry. Did you guys see who was in the studio in the last segment?
I did. I was gonna make a comment. Yeah, Waddy, come on, man. Waddy security was coming for him. Or
yeah, I was muted. I was muted because he just comes in and starts conversations in the middle of the show, knowing that we do a talk show.
He is the physical version of some of those calls that you get sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Is that Mr. Is his name?
Yeah. Don't.
I just wanted to be sure. I didn't see it. I wish I'd have saw it happen. I didn't think he worked that late.
I don't know. I saw him for the first time yesterday. So I don't know.
Craig, I don't know. Right now I'm still a game time decision. Game time decision right now.
Travis, I'm gonna do the best I can. Do the best I can here. I don't think the security guy was taunting Patrick. I would love to see that attempt though. All right. Make sure you got Kerry ready to go. Reggie Anderson weighing in on my personal text line here. Larry Bird taunting Dr. J. How old are you, Reggie?
He's old.
Don't act like you're a basketball guy, Reggie. Get out of here.
Oh, Mickelson's 2 under.
Nice.
Mickelson's 2 under through 6 at TPC.
Yeah, Waddy, I think there will be plenty more discussion about that, sir. It's not surprising to hear what Gene said yesterday. 55% chance he thinks he will not be back. Would you agree, Bill?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where he came at that number or what he kind of arrived at.
You're saying he had to bet he would bet more not than more so. I think it's pretty simple. Not a scientific equation.
I just think there's a lot that goes into it. I think it's a pretty complicated situation. They got to get a new picture of Phil for like his little like, you know, when they're showing his name or whatever, like his little image next to his name here. They've got the crazy looking picture of Phil Mickelson.
Crazy eyes, Phil.
Yeah, the hair's all like crazy. I mean, he looks like death in that one.
$55% isn't jumping the gun, I don't think, Travis.
All right, we're coming back. Carrie's ready.
All right. Thank you. Let's see if I can find this thing. All right. Good to see our buddy Darlington Raceway president Kerry Tharp has pulled into a tie for first place in the NASCAR Weekly Pick segment we do, and he's joining us right now on the Love Chevy phone line. Congratulations, sir. Your pick last week, Martin Truex Jr., came in sixth. That earned you the second most points out of our four-person picks contest, and you pulled into a tie with one NASCAR self-proclaimed expert in Bill Gunter. After four races, Kerry. I'm sure that has you in a great mood this morning.
It does. You know, I got a spring in my step, a smile on my face, and a song in my heart right now, just knowing that, you know, that I'm doing that well. And, you know, I figured it was only going to be a matter of time before the creed rose to the top.
Well done, sir. Well done. We'll get your pick going into this weekend and the recap of last week's race in just a second. First, I wanted to get in a question from Travis this morning. He said he's asking, do you guys still have the $1 million Thunderbird there at the Darlington Museum? He says it was a great memory as a kid on his first visit back in the day.
Well, he got the $1 million car that Bill Elliott drove back in the day, I think in the late 80s. So, yeah, I think that might be the car that he's referring to. And it's on display here in the museum. We had to close the museum due to the pandemic, but we look at opening it again around race time in May. But we've got a great selection of vintage cars in there. We've got a Jeff Gordon car. We've got a Dale Earnhardt car, David Pearson, Cale Yarborough, Richard Petty. So we've got Tony Stewart. We've got some really, really nice, classic, memorable stock cars in our museum.
Glad you mentioned those names. Tony Stewart maybe being one that sticks out to me. This morning we've been talking a lot about taunting in sports. There was a bit of an example last night in the Carolina Citadel game where a Citadel pitcher gets pumped up and does a little bit of poking of the bear, and then Carolina responded to stay undefeated. Now, back in your days at Carolina, do you remember any particularly vociferous players or coaches? Let's go with guys who are willing to talk it a little bit. And then, what about in your days being on the grounds there in NASCAR? I know it's a completely different dynamic, but what are your thoughts through the years about taunting or talking a little trash in sports?
Yeah. Well, the player who sticks out in my mind when I was at Carolina, and 9 times out of 10 he could back it up, and that was Steve Tannehill, particularly his freshman year when he was inserted into the starting lineup, and our team took off, won like 5 or 6 ball games, beat 2 or 3 ranked teams, and then won up at Clemson. And you know, after that Clemson game, you know, he did the old famous home run swing. After I think he secured the game-winning touchdown, and you know he did some things out on that tiger paw that I don't think the Clemson faithful appreciated either. But he's a guy that sticks out in my mind from my days at Carolina. But as far as NASCAR, you know, you see some things. You know, you mentioned Tony Stewart back in the day. He used to, you know, have some fine moments. You know, with some of his competitors. Kyle Busch is a guy that comes to mind. You know, sometimes after he wins a big race, he'll do a victory bow or rub his eyes if the fans are booing, like, don't cry, I just won, that type of thing. So he's probably the one driver out there right now that gets a little animated, particularly after he wins a big race.
Surely this stuff has brought you headaches through the years, right? As the sports information director at Carolina or the PR guy at NASCAR, it's kind of your job to let's maybe smooth some of these edges that these guys have.
Well, I think, maybe so, particularly during my college days. But when I started working at NASCAR, I found out very quickly, hey, let the guys go at it. It helps sell tickets. And so, sometimes you just got to, step back as long as it's not getting real physical. I've broken up, not broken up, but I've been in the middle of several confrontations on pit road. Brad Keselowski, Jeff Gordon come to mind. Jeff Gordon, Jeff Burton, Clint Boyer chasing Jeff Gordon out at Phoenix. They've shown that many times on the Fox broadcast now. But, I just think that's part of the sport, part of the personalities of the sport. You really don't want to throttle those. But, sometimes there is a line that can be crossed, and usually you kind of know when that is.
He's Darlington Raceway President Kerry Tharp, former longtime USC Sports Information Director, joining us on the Love Chevy phone lines. Jess had a question on our Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Just wondering if you could ask Mr. Tharp, Jess says, if they'll ever consider a Darlington race on dirt like at Bristol. He says hopefully Kyle Busch will break out of his slump in Phoenix this week.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I think we'll probably leave that to Bristol. They're a much smaller track, half mile. I think it lends itself to dirt racing. We're a 1.366 mile track. I think it would be, pretty difficult to have a dirt race here on the full oval that we have. So most of the dirt racing that you see is on short tracks, half a mile or less. And I tell you, the one at Bristol's coming up in a couple of weeks. I think it's going to be fantastic racing. I got to applaud NASCAR for pushing the envelope and doing something different this year.
And this week it's in Phoenix, coming off of Vegas, where Ryan Larson was the winner last week. Or Kyle Larson? I don't know why I was calling him Ryan. I always get that Larson confused. How you see in this week's race, and who is going to be your pick, Kerry?
The pandemic is the side of the championship now. So, I think that, particularly on Sunday's race, you're going to see some guys really get. So, I like Kevin Harvick. Kevin has had, I don't know how many top 10s out there. Just about every time he races out there, it's a top 10 or a win. So, I'm probably going to go with one of the favorites. I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick to win on Sunday.
I wasn't sure if that was your pick or if you were that's who you probably. I was just kind of felt like you were hedging your bets to see what I was going to say. Good job, smart.
All right, where are you going?
I need a good pick. You got to go with someone who's just hot, who's there every week, who's regardless of odds, is going to put himself in contention. And if he's not at the top, you're pretty surprised. I mean, just give me Denny Hamlin. I've got to take a safe play here.
Bill will stick close to Jen's Twitter at Jen Jensen Morse and see who she and WLTX sports director Reggie Anderson end up picking for this thing. Again, Bill and Kerry right now neck and neck for first place. Kerry, appreciate the thoughts, especially the trip down memory lane with Steve Tannehill. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. You guys have a great day.
You do as well. At Kerry_Tharp, where you can follow him on Twitter. Hopefully he will pull into a solo first place after this.
No, he won't. Just calm down, Tim. Just calm down.
How about this? We got two examples quickly on the text line. Josh says, when I was in high school, I played church league basketball to intimidate a team. We had two teammates lift one another up to dunk a ball in warm-ups and hang on the rim. Apparently that wasn't allowed. We got a technical. We were down 2-0 before tip. Didn't really work. And Boyd listening from Tamarindo, Costa Rica this morning. Fantastic. That's the early game. All right, Bill, you made it. Congratulations. think that'll do it for the live stream this morning. Just the fact that Bill made it 2 hours and 50 minutes is pretty impressive. Appreciate all the participation, especially the taunting stuff. We'll see you guys on Monday, or not on Monday. We'll see you guys in our regular setup on Monday. My head is already fast forwarded because we got the golf tournament tomorrow. It's going to be a good time. So we're going to try to get this going again. It'll depend on the internet out there at Windermere, but I think we can do it. See you guys.
Yeah.